Maybe so.
Okay, we're on the clock, so I will open this meeting of the DeKalb County Commissioners. Today's date is August 12, 2024. And good morning, Dottie, and off we go.
Off we go. Yes. Well, I kind of gave part of my time to Chris Gaumer, so I'm sure he'll be in, but I kind of made sure I didn't have a whole lot to talk about. Newsletter. It's kind of a cooperative effort between HR and the Extension Office, and really the Extension Office does a great job. That's Brenda Kierton, who really puts it together. And thank you, Mike Watson, for submitting pictures of years of service, certificate awards. Those, people love to see their name in print. And pictures are really great. And so, promoting that and just, keeping morale kind of up. It's really, really wonderful. So we appreciate the Extension Office working with us on that. I would like to remind all of our county commissioners and our council members to, if you have already taken your anti-harassment training, but we do not have a record of it, please reach out to Morgan, and she will check their database and pull off the information that you have taken it. If you haven't taken it, please do so. If you don't still have that information, how to do it, let us know, and we will get you that link so that you can go back in and take that anti-harassment training. Other than those two bodies, most of our employees have taken the anti-harassment training. So we're very pleased about that so that we can move on to our next project. We are safety conscious, of course, and IPEP has such a wonderful list of trainings that we can avail ourselves of as part of the package, that we purchase from IPEP as our work comp carrier. And most recently, the law enforcement specialist there at IPEP has offered to come in and do active shooter trainings specifically for each department. So not a generalization, but specifically for every department, because as you know, the configuration of every room, every department is different. So, so I mentioned that to our at our department heads meeting last week, and I sent out an email, and we are getting department heads responding that they would like to avail themselves of that. IPEP is also offering a verbal judo class, which would be how to de-escalate situations with customers. People who come into our offices or who are confronting things with the offices, and how to de-escalate the situation so that it doesn't turn into something a little more violent. Now, their law enforcement specialist has almost 30 years in policing, and she has quite a vast knowledge of it. So I'm very happy that they have offered that to us. So anyway. Moving on, we have some hirings that we are going to be doing. The clerk has lost two individuals in the last few weeks. One was a separation from the county. The other one was a transfer from her office over to the probation office. So we have a posting out there for a deputy clerk, and I'm sure that they will let us know when they're ready to start interviewing. Probation office has had their support position and a probation officer position out and about, but I do believe the PO position has been filled internally, and so they have a lot of resumes coming in, so I'm sure that they will be able to fill what they can from those. We are a little disappointed with our 911 dispatcher posting. It's been out for at least a couple weeks, and we haven't received any completed packets yet. Very disturbing, and don't know what's going on. So we may have to start really thinking outside the box for that very important position. Of course, we have public defender and prosecutor attorneys openings still. And last but not least, Sunny Meadows, their third shift part-time person has left, and so we have to, we should fill that. We also have, we don't have it posted, but the matron position is still open. However, we are working both Bob Kraft and Amy Demsky and Amy Prosser, the Job Classification Subcommittee, and Lita Hullinger. I should have added her, working with Angela about a bookkeeper position that she would like to go that direction instead of the traditional matron. In this day and age, yes, I know it's an antiquated situation out there, but they still have to deal with computers and reports and auditors and, bookkeeping things and, numbers, and very important to have somebody specifically for that position. So we are working with her to try to get a job description really fleshed out well, and then probably it will be sent on to our consultant, Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy, to take a look at it and then place it correctly in our classification system.
Would that be full-time, part-time?
I believe full-time, considering what they have to do out there, and there will be and other duties, so it's not just, spreadsheet, but probably for quite a while to get that place organized. You've got to have policies, procedures in place for all those numbers. You probably have to go back, double check some things that the auditor's office says are a little off kilter. So that will be presumably the bulk of it. There may be then some other more office clerical things to take that weight off of Angela so that she can deal with, more of that hands-on and managing employees. That's a big part of the job when you've got, less than a dozen employees, but, it's still, and a 24/7 facility to run. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I have. So, good timing, Chris. Okay. So anyway, that's all I have. Do you guys have anything else for me?
I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
great.
Thanks, Dottie.
Yeah, you bet.
Good morning, sir.
Thanks to Dottie for giving me 15 minutes maybe to chat. We've been working with the group that the Plan Commission selected to move forward with a comprehensive plan, rewrite HWC engineering, and we're working on their contract. And some of the things has to do with some social media and website, which Plan Commission does not have a social media presence. I think there's coroner's office, community corrections, and central communications,
And the sheriff?
and the sheriff. So they've got their own social media presence. We don't. I would say planning and zoning would probably be more controversial than the coroner's office or the central communications as far as planning and zoning goes. But I wanted to we don't have a real policy, right, on social media.
Well, we do in the employee handbook.
Right, but
Yes.
who governs that social media?
For departments.
For departments,
Yes.
right.
So.
So I'm trying to get an idea of I think that we need to have something for people to get the word out. People aren't going to websites anymore. They're not reading the newspaper. There's really no radio stations up here that focus on Auburn. I think the local news down in Fort Wayne can do some stories on Auburn, but really, social media is the way to get the word out on things. In talking with the consultant, we could piggyback on some existing nonprofits or organizations here that might be stakeholders in helping us rewrite the comprehensive plan, whether that's the Community Foundation or Economic Development, the local other municipalities, Auburn, Waterloo, Butler. I think they all have social media, but we don't. And I guess I'm just kind of looking for some guidance on, number one, if you're okay that we create something. I think that it would not be a full Plan Commission social media page. It would be strictly for the comprehensive plan. It would be open, and when the comprehensive plan would be adopted, we would shut that page down. I don't want, or the social media site down. I don't, want it to linger through Plan Commission, because then, as you guys all know, the mud can get slinging with Plan Commission hot topic issues, and I don't want that on social media. I know
Because we
that-
have a situation where if you have a public site, you have to be careful and you can't take
Right.
down opinions that you just don't like.
Right, and some of these things, all the issues that come to Plan Commission and that come before you from the Plan Commission are typically public hearings. So can the comments that are generated on a public site be part of the public hearing process? And it just gets muddy. And really, the American Planning Association doesn't even have a real guide on how to do that. So anyway, aside from that, I would like to create a page just for the comprehensive plan, try to get some followers started. And it can be kind of just an outlet for, here's a survey on this issue, and click the link to go to SurveyMonkey. Or we're having a public meeting at this location, just to help get the word out and stuff like that.
What do you think, commissioners? Any ideas or thoughts?
Social media done well is a real asset.
Yeah.
Not done well is a disaster. We just went through a long period of that situation.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and we would need to, the contract does not include HWC running the social media. So we meaning me, would be running that social media page. So it's not only policing what's out there, but being active to make sure that you're doing things correctly. I did talk to Jack, not about social media. I should have. Dottie told me I needed to, and I didn't yet. But nonetheless, we are going to create a link on the website to take people to for kind of a comprehensive document location for the comprehensive plan. But I do think we need a social media presence.
For that issue only?
Well, if we could figure out how to do it for all of the Plan Commission, I think you would almost need like a social media manager.
Yeah.
And I think there's a need even just for countywide. I've always thought that each department running their own is so weird. Auburn has their own, but it covers every department. Same with Butler, same with Waterloo.
Most of the counties, or a lot of the counties anyway, I would say the majority, I know from the ICC board, have social media presence. The larger counties have somebody on staff who's well versed in that. The smaller counties all use consultants, torchbearer, RJL, somebody who really understands the potential rat traps and rabbit holes and the real crap that can happen on social media pages that aren't managed well. So that would be my thoughts. If we're going to do it, we need to have someone with some real expertise in social media running the page.
Are you talking for countywide or for
Either
for
one,
this?
either
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
There's
And
just so
we
many
could-
ways you could get in trouble.
And I could see if HWC, what that might look like as far as a charge on, as an additional, I wouldn't think it would be much to manage a social media page, but I can ask them what they might charge for that, that would be in addition to the cost that we're looking at. Yeah,
What
you
do
have
these
to, you
other
have to be
companies
careful.
charge that you were talking about, Mike? You know what they charge the smaller counties to run that sort of thing? Chris could maybe reach out, or we
Yeah.
could reach out.
I don't know, I could send some emails, I'm familiar with all of those groups, if you want some
Yeah, maybe shoot me
estimates.
those company names and I can look into that.
Yeah. Happy to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to get one started probably by end of September, early October. HWC is going to be working with us to create kind of some little teasers that we can put out at coffee shops and local restaurants that say, hey, this project's coming, get excited, a QR code link that we could link to the Facebook page that could get some followers started. I think it would be beneficial. So I can look into that. But in the meantime, if you guys are okay with it, I can at least have it in my brain to add that as something that we're going to do for at least the comprehensive plan. And then I think it would be beneficial for commissioners or council or a group of Dottie and whoever else to come up with a policy for comprehensive plans for social media and have the county as a active presence on it. I think that's where people get a lot of people get their information. A lot of
That's
people
true,
get their
yeah.
information.
I mean, we've already encountered this. Gee, I didn't
Yeah.
know that was happening. I had no idea that was going on.
Right, right,
Because nobody, well, I shouldn't say nobody, but fewer people read the newspaper
yeah,
or really have any concept of, or any contact with that kind of news.
Right.
Other than, Facebook or Instagram. So. I'll send you some names.
okay.
Thoughts, Todd?
I don't know. I know a lot of people get their news on Facebook or wherever, but is it just another thing to manage and maintain and worry about?
Yeah,
That's the only concern I have.
Yeah.
Are you opening a can of worms you don't need to open especially for a specific event? So that would be my only concern, is
yeah,
just another thing to manage that. But I wouldn't be against a county-wide social media presence and then have sub-chapters, but that would take someone to manage it right.
Yes,
You can't just,
absolutely. Can't do
you
it.
can't just say, well, you handle it this week,
Yeah.
you handle it this week, because,
You can't do it in-house unless you have somebody just dedicated to it.
yeah.
yeah, before you know it, you have people selling
Right.
kittens on there or something.
Right. Well, and I think for, the sheriff to have it for road closing or
Yeah,
central communications for railroad
Yeah.
closings and things, that's important.
yeah, yeah.
And people aren't getting, people might be like, oh, that really stinks. I can't cross that railroad track to get to my house, whatever. But plan commission can be, and the whole countywide stuff can be pretty controversial.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it makes any sense. We've always done business for years without it. I consider that business, whereas like you said, railroad closures, stuff like that, public safety, that's great, but do people really need to know about if they have interest in the comprehensive plan? Show up to the meeting.
Yeah, one thing that we heard a lot.
See it on YouTube when we
Right.
talk about it.
Well, yeah, and one thing that we heard a lot was, especially during the solar stuff, which is kind of triggered all this to come
Sure.
up anyway, was, well, we never knew the comprehensive plan was being rewritten in 2017.
Right.
And we want to see more transparency. We want to see, we didn't know what meeting was going on. Even when the solar discussions were happening, when we were writing the solar ordinance, even though we had quite a few people at the East Side High School auditorium, people still didn't know. And not that social media, I don't think social media is the end-all be-all to get information out, but it's just another source to help,
Well-
to say that we put it out there, you know.
I can tell you absolutely from being on the Auburn 2040 steering committee that the social media probably doubled the public participation
Yeah.
in that plan.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, if we're going to redo the comprehensive plan, we've got to have public participation.
Right, and those surveys are something that people have to do on their computer or on the phone, and having an easy way for them to click and get there versus seeing it in the newspaper and typing out surveymonkey.com/GXY,
Exactly.
blah, 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 is gonna be easier, so, yeah, or paper copies. Well, I'll look into those companies, and I'll also get a quote from HWC and come back to you guys when I get those and see what we think.
Every one of the companies that interviewed in the process mentioned social media, I think.
Yeah,
Every
yeah.
one of them said that to increase public connection, I think,
Right.
for what that's worth.
I can see some benefits in correcting misinformation, bad information that's out there, and I hear a lot of that. I get a lot of that. And I think that would be some benefit to say, hey, this isn't true, this isn't accurate, this isn't correct. Here's the facts. You know, and we've had some issues, some rumors at the highway build and some other issues that have been incorrect. And I think that'd be a good platform to correct some of that.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a benefit I see. I have to agree with Todd too. Sometimes it can get too off of the.
yeah,
It's
and I think,
gotta be well managed.
It's
yeah,
gotta
and
be
I
well
think that
managed.
there could be ways too. I know Auburn has, sorry if I'm getting off track, but Auburn has their communications director or manager. You know, I think there could be ways too to see if there's a way to do some sort of interlocal agreement. So we're not paying somebody we're not hiring someone to be a social media manager for the county. But, you know, and I don't know what all he does as far as writing articles and that sort of thing, but that might be an idea too to partner with a municipality that already has someone on staff to do that could help us until we get to a point where we're just so big and busy that we can't do it. We need someone full-time.
Pull up Hamilton County's,
Who's that?
Hamilton County's
Hamilton?
page. They've got a really great page that has a huge amount of traffic. Of course, they're a huge county, but
Yeah. All right.
Okay,
Well, thank you.
you bet.
Thanks
Thank you,
for
Chris,
listening.
coming in.
See you guys back here at 10:15 for Apex.
Right, right.
See you, Chris.
I'm sticking around.
Oh, that's right, you are. Yeah.
Okay. We got Ben coming at 9, it looks like, but we got a few minutes here. Let's get into payroll. Approve payroll.
I will move to approve the payroll.
I'll second.
Okay, motion second to approve payroll. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Payroll is approved. Claims. We had some claims.
Good.
Had the monthly ones and then weeks
Yeah.
when we were off.
This one from Lakeland Electronics is not a claim though, right? It's just a proposal. There's it came in our packet. That's just a proposal, right?
Yes, that's-
Okay, all right.
Brian will be here to talk about that.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. All right.
Motion.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the claims.
I will second.
A motion and a second to approve claims. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Claims are approved. Minutes. Before we go to minutes, Susan, I have a question, comment about, under highway,
Okay.
discussion warranty of current pole barn at new property.
Yeah.
Down there, the issues were trusses being out in the weather for a few months. I think I should say several months.
Okay.
And then after that is a comment I think we can just strike out of there, and that was the warped and had to be rewrapped, the building.
They had to be what?
Had to rewrap the building.
We re-racked it.
Yeah,
I think
re-racked
that
the
was my
building.
comment, that we racked the building.
Yeah, it
Not
should have
wrapped,
been re-racked.
racked.
I don't think it needs to even be
Oh,
included in
okay.
there. It just
Okay.
muddies the water. I would say just delete
Okay,
that.
so just leave the trusses were out in the weather and rain for
Several months.
several months.
Yeah,
That's all we need.
okay.
Okay, done.
So with that, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
I will second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion is approved. Miscellaneous topics. Fawn Creek, Section 3, release of performance bond and acceptance of maintenance bond.
And that's a road, right?
I imagine Ben's got that in his
Yeah.
pocket.
No, Ben won't have it.
You won't have that?
No, it comes between, to Chris and I.
He usually comments on those though, doesn't he?
Yeah, usually.
He can, I guess.
He was
I don't know.
He's here at 9.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was going to come and speak to it. He was okay with it. This is just the maintenance bond for Fawn Creek.
Okay.
It changes from a
Section 3.
performance to a maintenance bond. I looked it
Right.
over. I might have communicated with you about it. It looks fine to me. But I reviewed the bond.
It's pretty common. We've.
Yeah,
think so.
and we've done this before for all of the subdivisions that are outside city municipality limits, but are within their ETJ. And this is one of those for Fawn
Which one's
Creek.
Fawn Creek, by the way?
One north by the high school.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Right across the street from the
Yep,
high
right
school.
across the street.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So we're just accepting a maintenance bond to replace the,
Replace the performance bond. This is for 3 years till June something of 27, July 22nd of 2027.
I'd make a motion to approve acceptance of the maintenance bond.
Second.
A motion and a second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion is approved. Well, there's Mr. Ben.
Yes.
Come right on up, come on up. Come on up, Ben. We were just talking about you.
Uh-oh, is it good?
All
Oh,
bad.
It's always good, isn't it?
All bad. No.
That's good. I tell you, I don't know who ordered the weather over the weekend, but my word, was it beautiful.
Isn't that nice?
Oh, man. I'm telling you, I can get used to that.
That kind of weather.
Yeah, that means snow, though.
No, it don't. No. I seen sunshine and beautiful weather. I didn't see nothing about snow. I don't want it. Guys, I'm gonna be pretty quick this morning. I really don't have anything for you guys.
Oh, come on, Ben.
I did receive the appraisal for the property along County Road 23 for the right-of-way. I didn't print it off for everybody because it's 80-some pages long. I can leave this copy here, or I can send it to you by email. I did send it to Andrew this morning for him to review. And if everything's fine, I can submit that to Metal Technologies. They appraised the value of $8,000 for the right-of-way.
Which right away roughly is that? Is that
It's
corner on the road there, the edge of the road?
You're gonna make me look that up.
Oh, I'm
aren't
just
you?
curious. It's not a big deal. We're talking about those, where it goes through those S turns, right?
.355
Okay.
of one. Is that just one or is that all of it? Looks like that'd be all of it. So .355 of acre.
Okay.
It's all road frontage too, so.
Oh, okay.
Because it's basically, we're taking that right away out front and adding to it. There was a description in here. I've got the surveys done. That's what the.
Oh,
look
yeah.
like.
That's why I threw the S turns. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're just taking more of that
Right.
right away. That way we can straighten that
Straighten the
curve
road
out.
out, yeah. Which I think is a good thing. There's been quite a few accidents there.
Original cost was $1,000 for this, And then since it took them so long, they apologized and gave me a $250 credit. So it's $750. So I think that was a very fair price. So I can leave it, I can email it to all of you or whatever you want, but I
With it.
printed it front and back. It was 80-some pages. So couldn't believe that. That little bitty piece of ground just.
Or this road to that
Oh,
road.
man.
There's an oak tree
I
on this
have
one.
not read through it all yet. I kind of glanced at it. I sent to Andrew. It's going to mostly need his blessing more than anything. Still working on getting some information back for different shingles on the covered bridge. I received some from Rick Collins, is working for a company that's able to get some material. His is a composite material instead of metal. I don't know much about it. And then I got, this morning actually, the shingle material from Zachary that they talked about before. So I'll look at both of those and then maybe send those off to DNR and see if they'll bless either one of them, and then we can decide and pick and move forward from that point.
Okay, anything else?
Not that I have for you guys this morning that I remember. Paving's moving, a lot of projects are moving right now. Just been really busy, all of our construction projects and working out the highway and trying to get things wrapped up there. Hopefully soon we can see the list dwindling. Still just mostly waiting on the data stuff to get finished. I'm going to follow up with them this week and see where they're at with that. They started on the lean-to building last week. They worked Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Power washed and started painting.
Great.
They got the roof all painted and the trim painted and the east wall done Friday and Saturday. And they're supposed to be back today. So hopefully between today and tomorrow they'll have that wrapped up. Painting will be done.
Good. They got done power washing that thing, you couldn't believe the difference.
Oh, I bet.
It was like this bright white building all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Of course, it doesn't match the other, and it's due for a painting because it's 25 years old, so it was time, but it was amazing the difference in that building, what it looked like.
By the way, the asphalt looks good in the front, the parking area out there in front of the fence and past out.
That's been striped.
Yep.
Yeah, oh, it's been striped now. I saw it
Yeah.
before it was striped, but
That
it
was
looked like it
striped.
laid real nice.
Yeah, we did. Wasn't bad.
But you said it was tough to use the one we had because
Yeah.
it's too big or something.
It
didn't
was
you say?
big to go through the gates.
Yeah.
It was
But
a little bit of work.
Looked like a nice job to me. Oh, yeah, you had her striped up. Nice.
Good job.
Yeah,
I
looks-
didn't stripe it.
Nice paintbrush.
Yeah.
Good
I'm
job.
pretty good with the roller, I guess. Yeah, then I got the handicap top front.
Oh, yeah. Looks good. Yeah, great.
Yeah, they did that on, what day was that? Thursday.
Nice. Looks good.
Yep. So,
Anything else?
no, I
Let's
don't
have-
have much for you guys today, so.
Let's have a discussion about the sign. Have we got any more quotes? Did you have any luck?
Working on getting a quote. I called Diskey, and they're not doing those kind of signs anymore. He gave me another lead, so I'll try to get a hold of them
Okay,
this afternoon to get something rolling on that.
okay. There was another thought, and Ben brought it up as maybe off in the future is a mural on the side of that barn, and now I'm wondering, is that a better answer? On the side of the truck barn, in the center section, there is even a light right there in that section that would shine
Oh,
down.
yeah, those outside lights shine down, don't they?
Yeah,
North side.
On the north side, yeah.
so is that something to consider?
The sign's already there, you just gotta paint it, right? I mean, the
Yeah,
wall's the sign, kinda.
Yes, right.
Would you be better, though, to hang a sign on the building instead of paint the building? You know what I'm
Well, if we're
saying?
gonna hang a sign, we got the foundation for the
We've
sign.
already spent a lot on concrete.
Oh, on this
for that-
foundation.
For that monument
Foundation's
sign.
there and the conduit for the wire and data.
Okay.
whatever
Really,
you-
really,
That's the only other thing. that you-
Since it's
we need-
already
for a
there,
nice looking sign that's gonna sit out there for 25 years,
Mm-hmm.
$23,000 is not a ridiculous expenditure.
Yeah. I don't like the idea of
The message
23,000 per
board,
sign. but-
message board, I think the message board is overkill, but.
Whatever we
you know,
do,
that's a nice,
I'd like to look nice, like I say,
we've got a nice campus, we ought to,
that has a really
Market
nice
nicely, I
curb
think.
appeal, and then your sign says volumes about your facility. To me, it
I
does.
did look at the V-plow that was in consideration, Todd, and it's not one of the bigger, newer, and it just doesn't have that much surface.
That's
to
fine.
really put a nice,
It's just an idea, but
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
wasn't a bad idea, but it's probably not going to show up well enough, you know, with the size of it. So, okay, we'll keep digging on the sign. And you say you checked with
Diskey,
Diskey?
yeah. Yeah,
But
I
Mike
talked to
Butler.
Mike Butler, yeah. Yeah, they're just doing architectural signs
they?
now for inside. But he
Okay.
gave me the name of somebody that they work with on
Okay.
monument signs and outdoor signs, so.
We'll
And
keep
Pam
working
sent
on
me-
that.
Pam sent me the one that they used for Waterloo. I don't remember the name of it. I'll have to look at my email, but we could follow up with them.
Yeah, sure.
too. They did the industrial park sign there in Waterloo.
Oh, really?
Remember the name of it, though. Head.
Here's another example of misinformation. I got an email today from a citizen complaining about spending all this money on a digital sign with readouts.
Yeah,
Right.
And we got and I wrote him back, I answered him back, we got an estimate on the cost on it, and it wasn't even in consideration, because just too much money.
yeah.
And
Right.
yet there was he was accused of us of wasting money on this sign. That isn't even a possibility that we've rejected. Yeah, and it's like, you know, I don't, where'd he get this from?
Probably just heard it in the,
He claims,
Talk
yeah,
Well,
you know, he
yeah.
usually
A lot
watches
of
the
stuff
weekly
that's
minutes.
drastically exaggerated
yeah.
coming out of,
Anyway. Anything else? Is that it?
yep.
Okay, Ben, have a good week.
Yeah, you guys too.
Get ready for that big move. We get
Yeah, we've been working on it. We've been moving a lot of stuff outside, and
By 2026, it ought to be ready.
everybody keeps asking me, you got a date, you got a date? No, hopefully this year yet.
It'll be
It-
this
it will
year.
be. It just-
It better be.
It
I'm
will be
hoping,
this year.
I'm hoping by the end of the month.
Yeah.
But like I say, data's the big one.
We get him moved in there, and before they get it all dirty and messed up, we'll have an open house.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
yeah, we do want to have
Before
a
they ruin
All
it.
right.
grand opening or something. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Don't be getting that shop dirty.
That won't take long.
I want those floors scrubbed every night.
All right, thanks, guys.
See you, Ben.
Okay, we've got some time. Let's move on to miscellaneous. Reassignment of tax sale certificate 172300068 to the city of Butler.
This is the property that Mayor Hartman had been in and talked about, requested a couple weeks ago, and Todd was able to speak with him. And he has an agreement that if we choose to reassign it to him, then whatever profit that they would receive after everything's said and done, that they'll split it 50/50.
That
That's a
works?
pretty good deal since we can't get it sold at tax sale. We can give it to a municipality. We can't give it directly to the person,
Oh, sure.
but he can sell it then to the highest bidder.
I think that should be put into writing, though, because it is
Yeah.
involving real
Yeah.
estate.
We need
and
to
it's
have
a
an
government
understanding.
interlocal agreement or something should be
Yeah.
written up like we did with the Humane Society
so.
land in Butler.
Is that something we could have Andrew just write up, something simple that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, basically his agreement was, after all costs are said and done, he would split the proceeds 50/50.
Basically, net proceeds.
Net proceeds,
After cost of-
50/50.
cost of the sale.
I think that's a good way to handle those kind of transactions.
Gets it back on the tax roll and someone will actually use the property for something instead of sitting on our sale and never selling.
Yep.
Because we're never gonna see what, it was 15 or 20 grand in taxes, wasn't it, over?
Well, but the key point of that is, when we do that kind of stuff, I want to make sure it's going back on the tax rolls.
Go back on the tax
Not
roll.
to a nonprofit.
Yeah, go to-
Who's not going to pay taxes.
Nonprofit that doesn't pay tax, that doesn't help as much, but yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
So do you want to wait for Andrew to do whatever he's?
I think we could motion to assign it, but have the agreement, couldn't we?
Yeah, subject to an agreement needing to be done.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'd make a motion that we reassign the tax sale certificate as discussed to the City of Butler along with a agreement.
Will you do that
Sale.
as an MOU, that, or,
Will I what?
will you do that as an MOU, or?
Probably as an interlocal like we
Yeah.
did, similar to the humane, I'll look at what we did with the humane shelter land and building to Butler. I mean, it could maybe be as an MOU, but I think it'll have to be somewhat in the language of an interlocal agreement, I think, since it's kind of like a business agreement between the two. I did look at it, and it seems to me like it's legal to do this. I didn't see anything prohibiting it in the statute involving
Right.
this.
Yeah, I think we can have an agreement with them.
Yeah, I
you know.
think we're okay with that. I would like it to mention, though, that the property will go back on the tax rolls.
Okay, the goal is property
Yeah.
to go back to the, yep.
We got
That
a
was my motion. You want a second?
And I will second that, yes.
we have
I
a
will.
motion and second. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same. Motion is approved. X.
Yeah, because Butler has already sold a bunch of them, getting back on the tax rolls. There's builders building houses and,
Yep.
so that's good.
Yeah, that's great, yeah.
And the cost of those houses will be affordable hopefully too, so,
Well,
Okay.
Drastically, desperately need those
yeah.
I
at that price range, so I'm
had
all
left
for
my
that.
notary stamp back at the office because I'm getting in the process of getting it renewed, but I'm still good today. Oh, it's okay.
I'll let you. When I have it filled out, I'll let you.
Okay.
Okay,
You have somebody run over, pick it up, and bring it out.
we're good to go on that one then. Moving on, approval of MOUs for Northeastern Center and School Nursing Liaison.
So these are both Health First Indiana funding services, things that Cheryl pretty much has already presented to you and you guys approved
Right.
her plan, but she's just wanting these MOUs approved by you, and Andrew has already reviewed them.
I read it too. I'm okay with it. so. You're okay with it, right, Andrew?
Yes, I am.
You want a motion,
And
that
I'll-
one?
Yeah, I'll move it. We approve the MOUs for Northeastern Center and the school nurse liaison.
And I will second that.
Okay, motion and a second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carries.
Okay, the next thing that Cheryl had provided is she sent the grant agreement for the Public Health Emergency Preparedness Cooperative Agreement Grant. This is a yearly thing, it's $25,000, and so Andrew has reviewed this one as well, and we just need you guys to motion that Cheryl can sign it, because the DocuSign comes to Cheryl.
Here comes the sheriff.
It comes to Cheryl because it's
Right, I saw that.
Good.
with the Department of Health, yeah, it's
Okay.
a little funky, but if you guys approve her to sign, then we're okay.
You're good with all 27 pages, Andrew?
Well, let me share with you what I have down there. I think, I mean, it's got the standard language about submitting claims monthly, but I mean, that's all a part of standard grant agreements. There are some electronic and information technology accessibility standards on page 6. I would think we meet those, but
Yeah.
and then, I would hope we meet those, and then page 25, let's see. There is a greatest extent practicable, all equipment and products purchased with federal funds should be American-made, but this is more of a paying for a staff person, isn't it? Or, okay. And then, yeah, I don't know about the terms of their attachment A was quite a few pages. I don't know what the details of the project were, other than maybe a cursory idea of it, so I looked through that, but I'm not gonna know if they can do that or not. I'm assuming they know that. So from the legal standpoint, I approve.
Yeah, and on that, I read that too, American made, but it says to the greatest extent practicable. Well,
Yeah, and
greatest
we're
extent
not
is
building anything
when
here.
you hop
so,
on
yeah,
somewhere, and the
right.
only things, only products from China, you buy it from China. So, but you know,
Yeah, but
so
we-
it doesn't say it has to. It says to the greatest.
Right, there's a new, for any public buildings being built though, I think after what, June something or other of this year, BABA is in place and it should escalate this cost significantly because everything has to be bought American and then you have to justify it through paperwork if you don't.
That's going to get
It's
crazy.
a pretty, I mean, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, I won't comment, but it's going to increase cost in my opinion.
Not good. Oh, well.
But here I approve this agreement.
Okay. Well, I'd make a motion to sign the
Right, Cheryl, decide.
preparedness grant contract.
For Cheryl to sign it.
Yeah, for Cheryl to sign, I'm sorry, through DocuSign.
Then I will second that one.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is approved. And Cheryl will sign the DocuSign.
All righty.
I don't have to mess with that.
Right? I know, they get crazy. Okay, the next thing we have is Larry and Evan, they were talking with Otis Elevator, and our main elevator needs replaced. It keeps messing up continuously, and it's ancient. So they provided the, I don't know, like 17-page
Yeah.
modernization, and the base price is $129,723. And there's an option for a cab allowance, if you want that.
I did get a chance to read most of it.
I know, it's a lot.
It was a lot, and a lot of it was over my head a little bit, obviously, most of our heads. What do you think, gentlemen, on that elevator? And we have to decide if we're going to refurbish that cabin or not. Another, what, 8,000?
I think it's
18,000.
18. Yeah,
On top of 129.
Yeah.
yeah.
So that gets us pretty close to that $150,000 statutory threshold,
Yeah, it's almost there.
right? And you've got to be careful because you're not allowed to game it in such a way that it's artificially under
50,000. Is
150.
it 150?
Well, for purchases of 50,000 to 150,
Oh.
you have to have 3 quotes from businesses known to
Gotcha.
be in the field.
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know if they've gotten 3 quotes for this, I just see the one.
I'm not sure we
You're
can
gonna be
get,
hard pressed to find 3 quotes on
Yeah, I gotta say-
elevator.
Yeah, I don't,
Now, that's true too, so
I
I
don't
mean,
know
it's,
that they can get that. They've tried that with repairs and other things with the elevators, and there's
Didn't we just
nobody.
replace the computer in this one or something, or I have
the
that?
jail.
that the jail
completely
one?
Jail
rebuilt.
one.
Yes.
This one, this is our main one, and, oh, I can't even tell you how many times a week Evan or somebody will have to run to the 3rd floor
Reset it?
to reset it so that it will come back down, and it just continues to
Yeah.
mess up like that all the time.
I actually didn't think that price was too bad, reading through that. There's a lot involved, it seems
Well, I'm
like.
sure.
It seemed like, of course, the 27 pages of involvement, but,
Well, let me ask the dumb question, because we were talking about servicing the elevator. Now, are they going to remove our fluid for us for free under this quote?
no. No, they are not.
I think they should.
That's, as a paragraph says, that's our responsibility.
I
to
think they
remove.
need to anyway. If we're going to agree to 130 grand, they can remove the fluid from the old elevator. That's ridiculous.
I mean, it said.
That's
the-
nickel and dime. Come
We
on.
need to provide a dumpster, and I can see that.
Yeah,
But they have means of
they have means of
disposing of
disposal
that
for
oil.
that.
Why
Yeah.
wouldn't they include that?
I think we should, if we agree to this, we should say, hey, throw in the fluid removal too. That's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think, I agree.
It never hurts to ask. you know, the answer's always no unless you ask.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
So-
And I'm not saying they're not due this money.
Do
It's
we,
just, it's a lot of money to spend not to concede something.
Okay, so I will see if Larry can reach out to them and propose that, and then I will also ask him to try to get 2 other quotes.
Or to do an email to
If
us
possible,
documenting that it's
yeah.
not possible.
Okay,
There should be at least 1 or 2 other companies, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's pretty tight market
Oh,
there.
just
There might
Otis
be,
and
but
that's it?
man, it's,
that's about it, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
I think they're one of the original elevator people.
They've been around a long
From
time.
like the 1800s, I
Yeah.
believe. so.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of liability involved in
Oh
it
my
for them. I
gosh.
think.
But I think we need to reach out and at least see
Yeah.
if there's anybody else out there.
Yeah,
You
we
never know.
should. I think Larry can do that.
And their contract, to some extent, seems to limit liability, as I read it, to the cost of the project. So if their elevator crashes and kills somebody, it's limited to the 128,000.
Really?
But companies like to do that in their contracts. They like to limit liability to whatever's been spent on the.
Yeah, but you know, as an attorney, they don't have that contract with the person writing it.
Oh,
They
that's
have it
right,
with
that's
us.
right.
The person writing it's going to
That's
sue them
right.
for 10 million.
Right, but then the county might be paying.
Sure, yeah, I get you, yeah.
Another issue with that is we'd have to, I assume, use the freight elevator to take people up and down that can't use the stairway. So I don't know how we manage that.
I guess that would be one question. I don't know if it's in the literature or not, but how long
does
is
that even
it,
go up there?
how long is it going to be down?
Well, yeah, because then you've got public accessibility to the
Yeah.
court system. 'Cause
Yeah.
all our courts are up there on the 3rd floor.
Right.
And there's a lot of people that can't walk that far on
What's
stairs.
the status of our freight elevator? Is it in decent shape? Do we know?
I don't think there's any problems with it. The question is it self-operative operating, or do we have to have somebody man that thing?
You'd probably want someone manning it if it's,
I don't know.
Even go upstairs?
oh, it's got to, don't it?
I don't know, I've only been to this floor in the basement.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it goes.
I don't think there's a number 2 in my choices. I think
Okay.
it's 1 in basement.
Really? Okay.
Does
Just asking.
this one, the general elevator, does it go to the basement?
No.
Okay, because I saw in the contract it was only for floors 1, 2, and 3,
It
so I
does
thought,
not
well, I
go to the
guess it doesn't
basement.
go to the basement.
It doesn't.
So maybe so maybe that's a problem, isn't it? I mean, how long would this elevator be down? Something they can start on a Friday and be done by Monday type thing, I wonder?
Because if that's not the case, you've got a problem. I mean, you can't shut the courts down without their consent,
Right.
and you can't be operating courts without public accessibility.
Larry says it only goes to the basement.
Only goes to the
okay.
basement?
Oh, boy.
So that's a little problem. Can we put on the rails of the stairs, those seats you sit on that wrap around like people get, you know? like-
Maybe just do that and forget the elevator.
Yeah,
Oh, my.
that's
Well, I
interesting.
think we need to find out what their timetable looks like.
Right.
We might have to post something at the front that says, due to mechanical issues or elevator out of service, the building is not completely ADA accessible, or
Yeah, until
some
it's,
kind of a disclaimer so that people know when they're coming in.
I think there should be some sort of coordination worked out
Yeah.
with the upper floor offices, and especially the courts, though.
And
So all
what-
the judges are aware of when this is
Oh,
happening.
yes,
do you
yes.
have any holidays like on a Friday or a Thursday, Friday coming up where they could knock it out on like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday type deal? I'm wondering if that could be, just to minimize the,
Right,
you
right.
know.
Thursday, Friday would be, I think, Thanksgiving. We have Friday of the fair.
Which no one's going to work on Thanksgiving, but maybe they could work on that Friday, or maybe, well, Friday of the fair isn't going to work out of traffic.
No, that would not work.
But
But
maybe
there
that,
might not be as much.
yeah, maybe Thanksgiving though would be the Friday there. Maybe they could do Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or, I'm sure they have to work weird hours anyway, being in that
And
business.
that's going to affect the quote, I'm sure, price-wise, if they're working through the weekend.
Yeah, maybe not though.
Maybe
I don't know
not.
how many days it would be down. I mean, if it's down one day, that's a minimal
Yeah.
issue. If it's
Yeah.
down
Yeah.
several days, you got a
Pretty big
bigger
job.
issue.
Problem, yeah.
Pretty big job. I mean,
We need some more information.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that,
yeah.
I think we ought to ask them how long it's gonna be down, number one, and throw in the hydraulic fluid. You know,
I'll talk
I
with
agree.
Larry.
Yeah, just get something from him saying it's either not possible to get 3 quotes, or he's tried and,
yeah,
or whatever.
and try to get them a quote.
Yeah.
I believe Larry had quotes on removing those trees. Was he going to bring those up
I don't know, I haven't seen anything.
at some point? I know he got 2 quotes. Okay, we've got about 5 minutes. Let's move on to the ordinance 2024-0-4, amending ordinance 87-3, food establishment ordinance. Did you get a chance to go through that, gentlemen?
Looks good to me. I like them short and sweet like that.
Oh, speaking of the devil,
Oh, there he is. Okay. Yeah, Larry.
Are we gonna do this real quick, or ordinance? real
Yeah, we can go ahead and do this. real
I'll
quick.
move to approve ordinance 2024-0-4 as written.
And I will second.
Okay, motion second on the floor. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion is approved. Okay, Larry, what you got on the trees?
Okay, well, first, the city helped us out with the one and took care of it.
Yeah, I saw that.
And they did come up and grind the stump, and then we cleaned it all up. And so that one's done.
Which one was that, Larry? Was that the, there's the cannon there. So it was this one, wasn't
that
it, by the
big one?
sidewalk? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice they took that. so-
Yeah.
That would have went clear across Ninth
Yeah,
Street,
yeah.
that it went down.
Okay, great. So that's gone.
So that one's gone. So, I got 2 quotes. First quote is for $13,455. Second quote is for $5,850.
Wow. Why the difference?
Yeah, that's 6 trees, and one is really small,
Okay.
basically 5 trees.
5,800 for that many trees is a heck of a deal.
Yeah, it is. And they want to do the job because he said he'd like to be up here, people to see him.
Okay. That
Working
makes,
the job.
smart.
We want to make sure,
Yeah.
we want to make sure we get a certificate of insurance and his workers' comp coverage and everything before I want to make sure he's insured.
Drop one through the, well, it's, yeah, they've been around a while. Feaster's been around for a while in the tree business.
Oh, okay, yeah.
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 Yeah, he's done work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
It's not
solid.
a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a decent quote for, I mean, that's hard work.
it
Oh my
is hard
gosh.
work.
Especially, if-
And that's grinding out the stump and everything, right?
yeah, that's why I'm
That's
saying, yeah, if it's
everything.
taking the
It's
stumps and all,
gone.
that's pretty good.
They're gone.
and what I've talked to him about is doing it after the fair so that it's not all tore up for the fair. and we get
Right.
Running
Up in
around up
holes.
here and that way we don't have any troubles.
We wouldn't be replanning to after the fair anyway either.
Yeah,
You know, hour in a month and get past the fair and
right.
then we do the replant. So, yeah, motion?
The only thing I would suggest is ask him to be as gentle as possible on the turf. Because that was the only problem I had, was
Yeah.
the yard was,
Got to bring equipment in.
Yeah.
and
What was that, Mike?
Just be gentle as possible on the yard,
Oh,
you know,
sure.
but
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
but
you said you had one at 13 and one at 5?
Yeah.
58,
I can get you copies of this.
what was it, 50?
5850.
5850.
Yeah, so I'd make a motion to accept, is Feaster, right? Is that
Feaster,
Feaster Tree Service for 5850 on the tree removal.
I'll second.
Okay, motion and second on the floor. Additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed the same. Motion carries.
Okay, and I will talk to them and set it up sometime after the fair.
Right?
I'll get a time when I'd like you to come with me to go up and check the trees that we're going to transplant.
Okay.
Pick out the trees, if you would be willing
Yep.
to do that.
Yep.
Okay, we'll do that.
And you said we need to haul them, is that right?
Yes.
So we could put them in my dump trailer, or we could use the,
Flatbed. Probably the flatbed too.
yeah,
Bit longer, they're pretty tall.
yeah.
And I've got a trailer that we could use also.
Well, we could probably get one of Ben's equipment trailers.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that'll
Yeah.
work. That'll work.
That'd work.
Sure,
Yeah.
that'd work.
Anything
And
else?
I will get with you on the elevator. We've got some things that we want you to do.
Okay.
Yeah, we want to see if there's another company that could give us a quote. And the other situation we have is what are we going to do while that's out of commission? As far as getting people up and down that have to
We
use
need
the
to know how
elevator.
long it's going to take them.
I don't know for sure, but I think it's gonna take, I think longer than what we're thinking.
I was kind of hoping maybe like Thanksgiving, we have Friday off. Maybe they could come in on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, knock it out. type
I'm
thing.
thinking maybe a couple weeks.
Oh, my. Wow. Okay.
That's my thoughts. I'm not positive on that, but I'll find out.
Yeah.
Well, we need to get some kind of a timeline, because we've got no way to get people
Up and down,
up and
yeah,
down to the
Yeah.
third floor particularly.
I don't remember how long it took to do the jail, but it was
It was a
more
while.
than, it
I
was
think it
more
was,
than a week.
I think it was like 6 to 8 weeks, I think.
Oh, my. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense. I mean,
I mean,
We need that information.
probably need to talk to the judges and say, hey, and the clerk and everyone, say, what are you thinking? You know, no elevator. How do we,
well, and here's the other thing. They were telling me that they're scheduled so far out right now that if it would break today, it would be almost a year before they could be here.
wow.
But I think with us, it might be different, but it still would be, they would be out
Okay.
quite a while.
And I don't think we have any backup plans for how to run the courthouse without the elevator, do we? I don't think.
Not that I know of.
Oh.
Carry people up and down the stairs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Video.
Video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have something set up
We had a video
downstairs.
for COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
Let me reach out to Judge Grimm and see if
Maybe he's
he's
got
got
an
any
idea.
thoughts, yeah, on what we might be able to do.
And as far as another elevator company, I don't think there's that many out there. I will look.
And we realize that. That was,
Yeah, it's
I
just
just think
close enough to our
documenting that you looked.
150,000 that we need to.
Yeah.
You just got to document that you've looked and see if something's available.
Okay.
If it's
Yeah.
not, then fine. If there is
Yeah.
some other company out there, you could reach out to them and see if they're even willing to service us. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Otis is,
Might be the only ones, that's
Got it
fine.
pretty well tied
I just
up.
want to have it documented.
Yeah.
I'm not
If
sure
we're
there's
spending that
another one
much
in the
money.
state anyway, there might be.
okay.
anything else while I'm here?
That'd do it.
I think we're good.
We're good. Thanks.
All right.
Have a good
Thanks,
one, Larry.
Larry.
Yep, thank you.
Catch you later. I'll let you know when.
Okay, just,
Yeah. Okay. Scott Seiler, you are up. You're on board. What you got for us today?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for taking time out here with us again. My name is Scott Seiler.
Scott, make sure your mic's on.
I think it is. Blue light on? Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, it's blue. Is that better?
Yeah, you're
I'll just get closer here. Again, Scott Seiler, location is 5038 County Road 52. And I'm here just representing a lot of the neighbors about this project going in. The project being the chicken barn, it's anyway, there's I think we've all been discussing this plenty, and if anybody has any questions about what the project's about, just ask me here. First of all, I'd like to make sure that the Board of Commissioners has received this letter. Now, what was passed out was something I'll get to a little bit later, but this should have been mailed or emailed out to everybody. Just want to make sure they had that.
I also included it in their meeting packet, so they got it twice.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Anyway, we appreciate your time. And we've tried to conduct ourselves with the diplomacy, integrity, and a sense of urgency. This has not been easy. None of us are, ex-plan commissioners or building zoning, administrators or anything on this. Really, it goes against our nature. And it's not just mine. It's a lot of the people we've talked to in this whole community thing. This is not something we really want to get involved with, not something we're not anti-agriculture. We don't want to be labeled as such. In fact, this morning I was just scrambling to get my third son off to Purdue, where he's going there for agriculture. That's in our blood and in our community. Anyway, there's times that we feel just kind of let down, attacked, dismissed, ignored. We are not the enemy of this county. I want to reiterate that. So I do have a question. It may just be rhetorical. I don't know that you necessarily have the information, but how many of these stand off-grid, unregulated agricultural barns for this intensive animal feeding has been, allowed already in this county? And just to let you know, this project is a precedent. And how many parcels of cropland will be utilized in the same manner? Perhaps there's A2 all around us, okay? And with no setbacks, this is what I'm coming to again, with no ordinances on any kind of setback, no ordinances on any kind of, air filters. We're concerned that we might just see these all over, especially southeast DeKalb County right now. If I could, real quick, I'd like to read from not trying to be a preacher here, but I'm going to keep bringing up this Indiana Land Resource Guide as some model ordinances here that are very effective. I'd like to say common sense, but maybe it's uncommon sense for some of this. And these are just some small portions of this. And please know that this is reciprocal. I mean, it's not just about these high-intensity ag buildings, but it's also about the residences, So one of the things they keep bringing up over and over again is the measurement and regulation of odors is developing science, and that issues of odor mitigation can best be addressed with a combination of reasonable setbacks and the use of modern management practices. Requirements for agricultural operations should be science-based, such as separation distances based on science measurement of odor dispersion and pandemic outbreak. Any high-intensity agricultural permitted by special exception or by UDO should have a 700 to 800 feet. This is model. This is model stuff that's being thrown out here. And a lot of counties have adopted this. Should be a setback from any residence or dwelling, except for those for that farm operation. And this is reciprocal, so it goes both ways. If you got a high-intensity ag, you don't want a residence moving in right next to them either and then complaining about it and people having problems. So we're trying to keep it. I think there's some really good information in this. Before the UDO changed in 2009, I'm just showing an example of when we actually purchased our property, but the area was zoned as rural suburban residence. It's changed to A2, okay, which has opened up a lot of stuff. Our A2 has some rules and requirements on it also. And who knew 15 years ago how agriculture industry would change in the way it is today, and implications of having a large, unregulated factory farms that are allowed in our newly adopted zoning. Concerns were brought up in 2017 about this, and it was dropped, due to whatever reasons. I'd really like to kind of remind everybody about that again. Our concerns are not arbitrary. There's an abundant data available from reliable sources like NIH, Purdue, EPA, IDEM, CDC, Wisconsin Department of Health, etc., about these concerns like respiratory disease and infections, antibiotic resistance, cardiovascular and other diseases, environmental issues like ground and surface water contamination, polluting waterways and aquifers, and economic concerns. Mosquitoes are everywhere. I got bit yesterday. It was a beautiful day out there, and I still got bit by mosquitoes. So our UDO, we've adopted here, has specific sections under the environmental standards that erosion prevention. The zoning administrator can tell them to get stuff seeded and graded within 30 days of destruction of natural resource erosion. This land shall meet a minimum erosion prevention standards of IAC 327 and its amendments. The water and soil prevention, no waste, and it mentions all these different types of waste, or agriculture waste, or any other material of such nature, quantity, obnoxiousness, toxicity, may be contaminate, pollute, or harm the waters and soils, shall deposit, location, stored, or discharged off of their parcel to any other parcel, which this project does, and it has been brought up through the IDEM report, and I will show that to you in just a second here. Under our A2 district, one of the things I'd like to point out here is that the Plan Commission should use this zoning district for existing agriculture areas and carefully for new residential development. I would like to add to please consider carefully for any development. I mean, I think this project kind of just somehow found the loopholes, if you will, or and made it in here pretty easy. We have zoning ordinances and rules for a reason, and they should not be arbitrary or subjective. We have personally, we have an ADU for elderly parents, as Mr. Moore had at the last commissioners meeting brought up too. For two persons to live there, it took more scrutiny than this project. It would be short-sighted for us as a county to not think about the federal and state regulatory consequences of these intensity animal farms, especially the off-grid ones. I've mentioned before to the commissioners that more than likely this will have a generator that does not meet EPA Tier 4 requirements. It must, since 2015. And sure enough, Mr. Wrench from Napanee just delivered the generator not too long ago. So we will be contacting the EPA to make sure that they're going to follow the Tier 4 requirements on this for emissions and noise. So that is a 2015 EPA requirement. Any generators made after that time. This farm did not follow the accessory structure or environmental standards according to our UDO. And we were told from the first commissioners meeting that the owners intended to build a home. And I question why that was even brought up. I mean, we were questioning some of how it came in, and they're mentioning that. But what I'd like to point out here is I got a letter from Mr. Smaltz. I believe you've been copied on it, Susan, so hopefully they have that here.
Yes, I sent
Okay.
them all that.
So if I could read a little part from that, it says, under the home rule, local governments, and I just want to empower you. I mean, even our representatives want to empower our commissioners and stuff. Under the home rule based on IC 36-1-3, under the home rule, local governments have broad authority to regulate land uses with resolutions of doubt as to the existence of other powers, like IDEM or the state or federal, being resolved in favor of its existence. This broad description enables the county commissioners to implement regulations that address the unique needs and concerns of our community. And he goes on to say that he hopes that the community will all stay involved with this project too. So there's that. And then, if I could, I don't know, has everybody been copied on the construction stormwater inspection for this project. Again, this got started a little bit late. It should have been started before the project started, but it came in, IDEM came in.
Did you send it to me?
I don't know that I sent this to you, because we had to get it from IDEM.
If you
And-
guys, if
and
nobody
Cameron was
sent it
involved
to
with
me,
that,
then
so I don't know if
probably
she
didn't have it.
pass that out. Okay, we do have some other copies. I can get those to you. A little excerpt from this, if I could, though, please. The erosion control measures, this is talking about on the site there. And it says that the pre-existing swale. So IDEM has concerns about that also, and what they're saying here is that the drainage swale has been graded on the north side of the barn during the inspection. They're talking about it over here. And the swale currently directs sediment-laden runoff to the pre-existing drainage swale or channel running through the field. And, obviously you're talking about getting this area under seed and under control for erosion and stuff like that. They're talking about how the rock can go on here, and they have put a lot of rock. One of the things they brought up here, though, is that they needed to get silt fencing and silt controls enabled on this project all over. And to this day, there has not been any silt controls, and they remark in the report about what silt control they've done so far is really inadequate and not going to do anything. They said they've done a little bit of silt control around this mound of dirt, and that is not even integrated into the soil, which this really isn't the concern. It's the concern right now is running all down the north side and the runoff that's happening. So I just wanted to bring that up there. And they have concerns that in the future, once this is over, because this is only for during construction, right? And this is going to remain, as far as we know, an agricultural field. So they bring up that this silt, that this is a highly erodible runoff area. And without further controls, there's not going to, so I mean, this is from IDEM. I'm going to call them an independent third party here or whatever. It's not us making up stuff. They're saying there is problems with the site. I'll get copies for you guys to read through that report. And one last item, if I may, is what can we do? We want to be transparent and collaborate. It may be a time to decide if the citizens and our leaders on how we envision the future of this country, the county, and what we value. There was a handout given out at the beginning here, and this is about the animal feeding information. And what this is leading to and asking is beyond this project. I was really here coming to talk about this project, but and this project, some of them may not have concerns with runoff and drainage. Okay, this particular one just happened to land in a spot that there is problems existing, and IDEM has even noted that these problems are still there and probably going to remain unless something is done on this site to reduce that. Again, we're leading towards trying to entertain. Please consider putting a moratorium on these kind of facilities until we can get a little bit more thought put into it, like setbacks, air barriers, some things that make it work good with our community. Again, we are not anti-ag. I mean, I love food more than anybody, and I have to stay away from it because it gains on me now faster than it used to. But I'm just asking for due consideration of this, please. Is there any questions for me? I'm sorry, I'm not a big talker, and I think I've used up all my words for the day, but.
Questions, comments?
Really have any question? I got a comment, though. I talked to one of the larger farmers in DeKalb County Sunday, and he said the problem with this is, we have land rights, of course, and follow the rules. He said one of the problems a lot of these type of facilities do is they'll have multiple parcels. They'll bust up the parcels, do 27,000, 27,000, 27,000. So they're really doing 100,000, but they fall under the guidelines. So he said the same thing they do with cows. They'll do 299, 298 instead of the 300. And then they own another parcel over here with 150 acres. They'll do another 299. And he says they're really running CAFO-style operations, but they're disguising it by breaking it up. So I kind of agreed with him, something that maybe could be done. It's too late on this one, unfortunately, but maybe we need to have our own, hey, more than 100, or any one entity. In other words, just because it's on different parcels, if you're that entity and you're doing 100,000 chickens, you're really a CAFO at that point. I don't know. I think there's some discussion there to have possibly if.
Maybe they could also set up multiple LLCs.
I know.
It's pretty cheap to set up LLCs, and I know some business people that for every little business, they got a separate LLC. So.
It's a tough position.
It is. And, I mean, this thing keeps growing and growing. I talked to Ben Smalls. I spent an hour on the phone with the Association of Indiana Counties on this subject. I have a call scheduled with the State Farm Bureau. And I think one thing I would like to do is we've had several opportunities to listen to this group, all of their concerns, and basically uninterrupted. I would like to have the property owner come in and have an opportunity to talk about all of these things. We're talking a lot about speculation. This thing isn't even an operation yet. So I would like to hear what the property owner has to say.
Sure.
And I would like the Farm Bureau to weigh in on this. It's on the State Farm Bureau radar, this particular project and this particular issue in general. And if the DeKalb County Farm Bureau would like to weigh in, I would appreciate that too. I think that that's only reasonable to hear both sides of the story. One thing that I'm concerned about is this discussion. You can't separate livestock farming and crop farming. Farming is farming from a farmer's standpoint. So I don't think that should even be part of the conversation. We went through a big conversation not too long ago where we've got to save our farms, we've got to save our farmland, we've got to make sure it's productive use. And one thing that really concerns me is going down a path where we regulate things to the point where we would have to have an IDEM type of enforcement operation for the county to police this stuff. I mean, we can't regulate anything that we can't enforce, that we don't have the resources to enforce. So do we need to maybe clean up our application process and information that gets submitted? Maybe so. Maybe we need to take a look at some things in the UDO, but I think we need to be cautious about how big of a bite we try to take. And quite frankly, considering all of the discussion about farming and so forth, I don't know that I'm real keen on trying to put more regulation on the ag community. Yeah. But maybe the answer is a moratorium on minor subdivisions.
Yeah, that's the other thing is, one thing we discuss or that we don't discuss enough is, one of the problems the solar folks had was these solar fields encompassing their houses. Well, that's ag ground out there. I was against the solar because it wasn't an ag operation. That was my stance. However, why are we allowing so many houses to go out into the ag area? Why are we converting ag ground to housing? Because that causes a problem. And,
how many times during the whole solar thing did we hear, I'd rather have a hog farm next door than solar panels?
I heard that many times. Yeah. And in the comments generally from people were, oh yeah, we expect hog farm. Well, unless it's 10,000 hogs, then it's a little different story, of course. But how much farm is too much farm? How much isn't enough? Well, the state sets a precedent, say, hey, 30,000 chickens is where we go at. So, of course, the smart people that want to build these say, well, we're only doing 27,000. You know?
Yeah, if I could, Mr. Sanderson, I mean, that's a great point. And guys, just know, since I've had to dig into this so much, I am more than willing to help anybody about anything. You can call me at any time, okay? Because I've had to dig into this and learn a lot more than I ever thought I'd ever be worried about. But one of the things that was brought up to me from my uncle, too, was that this really makes it unfair for those that are at that upper IDEM level. So the competition gets kind of squashed a little bit when you're down here and you don't have to, because regrettably, some of this regulation, some of it's good to me, common sense, but some of it there is sometimes a cost associated with that. And please give due consideration to moratoriums, whether it's housing additions or CAFOs. One of the things mentioned in that, again, I'll keep showing the little Bible here, so to speak, of ordinances, because I mean, I think this is very well balanced. You don't have to adopt all of it, but I think there's some really good things in here. It talks about trying to get districts, and you can still make exemptions in those districts, but trying to get districts where this fits well and where residential fits well and stuff like that, to give a good balanced approach to our community.
I want to say I would be in favor of moratorium and not issue any more of these permits until we can sort this out. And maybe do an ordinance of some sort. My really big concern is the water runoff from this project. We're talking about an open-air, three-sided containment facility for dead chickens that may be diseased. And I think we're facing the possibility of liability if the wrong kind of water gets down into public waterways. And I don't think we want to go down that road and have to face that kind of a situation, because one administration, they're pretty good about that. The next one, they're not so lenient. So I think we might want to do that, a moratorium, and sort of just say not. And like you say, I agree with Mike that get the other party in here and let's get the room face to face and have
I
a
think we need to
conversation.
hear their side and see what's.
And I don't want to have them come in and have some big debate
Yeah,
between,
yeah, yeah.
between
And see
this
what they
side and
might
that
be
side.
willing-
They deserve to have some
Yeah.
uninterrupted.
And see what they might be willing to do voluntarily to address this water runoff issue.
Well, and I will just say, we've dealt with Jesse Zare on a number of things, the license plates and a couple of schoolhouses. And there's never been an instance where he's refused to do something we told him he needed to do.
Chris, you had a comment real quick.
Cameron and I met with Jesse last week, and he's willing to come in and speak to you guys. He's offered that to us. I know that Mr. Seiler came into the health department as well. Kathy's offered to kind of bring both parties together, and there's never been an outreach from the Seilers to have that. But I think from what Jesse has told us, and I would like for him to come and speak to this, if there are dead chickens, they go in a deep freeze, is what he told us. The chickens are housed for 15 months. All of the manure is housed within the barn. On that day that the chickens are taken out and new chickens are brought in, the manure is put into a holding pen that somebody will come and pick up that same day. So it's not getting, and it's a dust material, and the farmers that want it in a dust material to be able to spread it. Otherwise, it's too heavy to put on the county roads, and they can't spread it with their machinery. So I learned a lot as far as more than I probably need to know about chicken barns. But I think it would behoove you to have him here to bring up those things, because they don't want their chickens to get avian flu either. The manure can't be wet or it can't be hauled away.
Here's the bill.
But it's
The Farm
10
Bureau
o'clock.
sent me this.
They built
There's
10
two-
o'clock.
That's the state
Two
chemist from the state
pages
chemist
of,
office? Is that from the state chemist?
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is regulations on what they have to do with manure before they can put it on the fields.
correct.
Yeah. Let's take our break and do our
Okay.
pledge, and then we'll wrap this up afterwards.
Sounds good.
We're going to
10
stick
minutes?
around.
The 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do 10 minutes.
Thank you, everybody.
You did last week?
Yeah, you did last time.
Yeah.
Age before beauty. You are me.
You look good. Yeah, I thought you were delivering. Oh, no. You do?
No, I don't drink it as much as he does.
You're welcome. Yes. There's all kinds. Yeah. Today? Okay. Yep, I will make a copy of it. Yep.
I was looking at the different document. What he was reading from was the side. Okay.
Here is it freezing in here? Cold in here?
Yeah. She turned that,
It was hot, so I texted Larry and I said, come up here before I paint. And then he,
turn that one up a little bit.
do my jacket on.
No, I'm okay. It's like, only like 20 outside.
Like, I didn't touch it.
I think it is chillier on this side.
It is.
Okay, we are back from break, and we will continue the conversation on the chicken barn, chicken farming. You got anything else, Chris? You want-
In terms of my, the construction stormwater general permit for the site, at this point, they are fully permitted by IDEM for the construction stormwater general permit, have a permit number. That was completed Friday afternoon, mid-afternoon. So as far as any construction on the site, it's permitted under the permit at this point. And they have complied with everything that IDEM has requested in terms of BMPs going out there. At this point, the swale on the north end of the barn has multiple check dams in it at this point to slow water flow. At the end of that swale, there's a sediment trap at this point. The west end, which was the biggest end of concern in terms of erosion in that one main swale that heads southwest, they have seeded around that outdoor manure storage area. So that's been seeded at this point. And from our discussions last week with them, they stated that this weekend, a bulk portion of seeding was going to be completed along the drive and barn, on at least, I know the north side was mentioned. So at this point, they're in compliance with the permit, and BMPs are installed. Seeding is underway for any bare areas on the site, including stockpiles. I have not been out there yet this week, but I plan to go out and take more pictures. They've sent pictures to my office as they install things. So from our end of things, on the construction stormwater general permit, they are in compliance.
Good info.
Thank you for the update.
I think what we're looking at now, right, at this moment is a moratorium, whether we are willing to do that or want to do that, and put all future permits on hold until we kind of sort this out.
I think we need to have Andrew check on the legal form that would have to take. I'm not sure that we can do a moratorium. If we're going to stop issuing permits, it may have to be the plan commission.
My concern would be that
does
it's already, so when you did the moratorium for solar, there was no ordinance in place. There was no permitted uses for solar. We already have permitted uses for this thing, for these type of projects already. So I would be concerned that, and I didn't talk to Mike about this at all, or Andrew, but my initial concern is that that because they are permitted, you would have to go through the plan commission to get the plan commission to do a moratorium and then come to the commissioners to adopt that moratorium.
Of course, it wouldn't be for this project, it would be for
Right.
future.
For any
projects.
type of future projects, right.
I understand we can't
I would,
do anything on this one.
I would just mention, though, when we did the solar moratorium, Jim McCann was the county attorney at that time. He told us it would never stand up to a court challenge anyway. So,
I think it has more teeth if it comes from the plan commission first than not, just because the plan commission, in Indiana code requires it to be through the plan commission adopted by the county commissioners, so.
yeah, I think that's the process.
This is certainly something where I would need to do a little bit of research on it.
Sure.
To try to ascertain the proper way there. I don't necessarily
You don't
have an
have
issue
it?
with the idea of plan commission and coming forward with it, but I would need to research that issue.
Okay, if you would do that, we'd much appreciate it.
Are you interested in having Mr. Schmucker and Mr. Zaire come in as well? I can coordinate that with Susan on a time for you guys
Yes, absolutely.
in the next commissioners meeting.
But again, I want to be clear, and you mentioned this before, they deserve to have an uninterrupted time to make their presentation, not some kind of back and forth and Q&A or moving and clapping and so forth, like we had in some previous meetings.
Yeah, Jesse
I wanna
was
make
Jesse
sure-
was a little concerned about having
Well, I would
the
be
Silers
too.
here as a
No, and
just there. So he would like to have some time to
I think that's a
But I would
must.
and really answer any questions, concerns that you guys have as far as what you've heard from avian flu, what happens to the dead birds, where the manure goes, where the stockpiling goes, what the site is going to be used for.
Yeah.
He did tell me he would invite you guys out to the farm as well to take a look. So if I can get you Jesse's number. He would be happy to show you around the site if you want to go out there too.
I've been there.
Okay.
But there was nobody there when I went through that. But yeah, I drove back and everything.
Okay.
But yeah,
I'd like to see if somebody from the State Farm Bureau and the DeKalb County Farm Bureau could come in at the same time. That Jesse and,
I'll let you coordinate that part though.
yeah,
I'll get in touch with Jesse and figure out a time through Susan for him to come 2 weeks from now.
okay.
And just for the record, everybody's invited to come to that. You're just
Yes.
not wanting it to be an arguing match from both sides.
exactly.
But everybody's
Public hearing.
invited in the public to be here
Yes.
for that. Yes.
Okay.
One more thing on my end in terms of the construction stormwater general permit. There is a post-construction portion of these plans that is is there so we can mitigate as much erosion after construction is done as possible. So the swales that were presented earlier on their post-construction portion, they will be seeded and permanently vegetated. I know that Mr. Seiler brought that up as a concern for long-term use. According to their post-construction plan, as a part of their stormwater pollution prevention plan, those areas will be permanently vegetated.
Okay. Thank you all coming in and
Thank you.
good information, and we'll proceed. Okay, moving on. Apex Insurance, you are up.
Hello, Lauren.
There we go. I've got a few handouts for everybody, but I know this meeting is mostly yours to talk about budgeting, so I can kind of discuss how everything has progressed in the last few years, if we want to start there, and then just, I can take any questions or discuss what you guys want to.
You?
All right. So I put these in order of what I wanted to go through them just as a historical perspective. So the first year that we came in, we were looking at the plan year of 23 to 24. I can get these right. So this was our marketing efforts for that plan year. So this was in the beginning of 2023 that we looked at these. And if you'll recall, the top page that I gave you has the Anthem fully insured renewal. So this is what you were facing when we stepped in.
Where's that number at?
And that is it's in the first two columns were your two plans, and then the current is what your premiums were when we came in.
And what's that number?
And that total combined annualized premium is 2.186 million.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Found you now.
Okay, perfect. And then the renewal is what you were facing. So that was the 39.72% from Anthem, which would have brought your medical premiums for the year to $3,054,000. So that's what we were looking at as a fully insured renewal. So the next page is what we ended up securing. So this was going to the self-funded plan with the $100,000 specific. So if you look down at the bottom of that total fixed and expected annualized, this is what UHC Surest expected your claims to be, was 2.5 million. So about just almost exactly $500,000 less than what the fully insured renewal would have been. Now, if we look at total fixed and maximum costs, so that's your quote worst case scenario, was just over 3 million.
Which page is that on?
So this is that
Same
yep,
page,
the
okay.
same page, and it says firm sold at the top.
Right, gotcha.
Yep. So the maximum cost, that worst case scenario, was actually less than what the renewal with Anthem would have been. So that's why we made that choice to go that direction. The next page is simply your premium equivalents. And you can see on the highlights what was selected. And we did go with maximum liability. So we did pick that quote worst case scenario so that we could, at worst, meet what we needed. And at best, put some money into reserves. So looking at what we had marketed for this year and knowing that if you want to look at the financials that Susan sent out and printed, we did have last year, this is hot off the press, I just got this on Friday. We did have that worst case scenario year in claims. So we actually were over the worst case scenario. So I have my data team looking back through this, and if they agree with, United Healthcare's claims, we should have an aggregate claim, meaning we hit that worst case scenario and we should have money coming back because we were insured against that. So that amount will be to be determined, and we'll have that fully audited so that we're in agreement with what UHC is saying they owe us. Now, this does take a while to come up with that number, usually 3 to 4 months since the plan year is now finished. So more to come on that, but we should have money coming back to the plan. So then moving into this year, this is the freshest marketing that we made decisions on. We have our current in the first column. And the reason why the expected and the total fixed and maximum is higher here than it was on the previous page is because your enrollment went up. So you have more people on the plan than you did originally. So of course, that means that each individual who joins the plan will be, having that additional per employee per month
How many
premium
more people?
equivalent.
What percentage did we get?
So we started the plan year, with 197 employees and 305 members. And we ended with 211 employees, so 14 employee swing, and 315 members, or 10 additional members.
A few percent, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we went up 40% and we.
Yep, absolutely, which that story is 100% in your claims. If you look at the financial analysis page on these financials that show, month by month by month, you can see in the percentage of expected claims, you ran as high as, the last month, you ran as high as 254% of expected. And percentage of maximum, so that is that, worst case scenario month, there were many months in which we exceeded as a plan the worst case scenario. So when we look at, if you look at the page of your financials that says top 25 claimants, this lists out exactly what it says, the highest 25 members and their claims. So we're looking at the top member had $480,000 in plan spend. Now, that is capped at that 100,000, so that money's coming back, but that all plays into the renewal when the stop loss company is looking at what's coming for the next year. So this second one, the 160,000 or 159,410, this is brand new, and it's almost $140,000 in spend. So we're looking at that, but again, I just got these Friday, so I don't have details on that yet, but it will. So when we looked at our renewal for this year, that is going back to the handouts I just gave you. Total cost analysis, again, it says sold at the top. Luckily, we do have that firm, no new laser, 50% rate cap in place. So, I mean, that is going to really save us, especially coming into the next plan year if these high claimants continue. But the specific, we kept that, we were able to keep that very reasonable. Out of the gate, UHC was proposing 28.4%, and we were able to get that to 8.5%. But really the story, down at the end of this, we've already made the decisions, so we don't have to go line by line, but total fixed and expected, we're expecting that about 42.6% increase over last year. Remembering that about 25% of that is just coming from maturing the contract. So, going from that immature 12/12 to the 24/12. So that full year of protection behind this coming year. So if we're, removing that 25%, we're looking at about a 13% increase above what we knew was coming. So then the last page is the premium equivalents. Again, we are deciding to budget to maximum to ensure that we do have that money in place if we do have another year as we did last year, or to build the funds in the health insurance account. So now that you're self-funded, the real story is, how do we get these claims controlled? And putting in place the wellness plan was, we explained this at open enrollment, and that's really going to be what we start to do to drive healthy employees and keep our claim costs in line.
Well, self-funded, fully funded doesn't make any difference. If we don't get the claims under control, it's still going to go.
Exactly. And we have the ability as a self-funded plan to reap the benefits of a good claims year or any actions that we take to mitigate claims. We have the ability to keep those funds rather than in a fully insured scenario. If we clean up the claims and they're far under expected, they keep the surplus. So I understand completely that the costs have gone up, and that is, shocking sometimes, especially seeing those large number increases. However, in a fully insured situation, you would have been in the exact same boat facing these very large renewals, but without the ability to potentially retain any benefit of a good claims year.
On these claims of 70, let's see here, RX amount paid 944, medical amount paid 2.7 million.
Yeah.
Are those actual claims paid to the doctors and the pharmacies, or is there administrative costs also embedded in those, in that amount paid?
So on the claims page, the one that you're looking at that only shows that, that is only showing the actual claims.
That's money actually paid to
To
doctors
pharmacies,
and
to doctors,
pharmacies.
to hospitals. This is not including any admin fees. Now that we have, or we will have a full year of claims costs and claims data, my absolute first recommendation for this coming year is to run a full pharmacy RFP to get the pharmacy spend under control. Because last year, we didn't have the data to be able to do that going into our renewal. So that would be absolutely something that we should look at.
How do you get that under control? What do you mean by that?
So if we take pharmacy out to RFP, that would mean we could control the contract. So a lot of how we save money in pharmacy is by tightening contract terms and not allowing the pharmacy benefit managers to take additional amounts off the top or the bottom or from the pharmacy or from the claim or from the member. So making sure that that is a true pass-through cost and that we're only paying an administrative fee to the pharmacy benefit manager. We want our rebates, we want any benefit of negotiations, and they should be paid as an admin only like we pay Surest. Right now, because Surest has, because we carved in, or we just took Optum, who is the carved-in pharmacy for Surest, we're a little bit at their mercy with the contract terminology, but now that we have the data, we can take this to market. Because this almost $1 million in spend is extremely high for pharmacy. So I think there's work to be done there.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This whole PBM conundrum is
Yeah,
an issue anyway.
absolutely. It's highly unregulated.
On this financial analysis under fixed cost, just a little, when it says administrative rate, is that the rate that is collected or?
So the admin rate on the fixed cost page is what you're paying Surest to administer. Yes, that's only Surest.
The specific premium, what is that, which
So
I see
this-
is the highest by far,
By far. So the highest by far is that specific premium. That's capping every individual member at the 100,000, or for next year, 125,000. But if you look up at stop loss reimbursements, which is in red in the middle, you'll see that we actually received more back in reimbursements than we did pay out in premium. So we paid less in premium than we received back.
I see.
Yeah, which is unfortunately why we had to face a higher renewal, because they're looking to recoup some of those costs and protect themselves.
Any other questions or comments?
My only concern is, we were griping 4 years ago about nearly $2 million for fully insured, and now we're looking at a potential of 4.6 million, and we're taking all the risk. So I'm not seeing the value in this compared to fully insured at this point. Now, I'm not saying there's more data, but I don't know how you get past data that says someone spends 450 grand, though. I mean, that's just the way it happens. I mean, do fully insured programs have more negotiation skills with the doctors and hospitals to cut their costs down? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're utilizing the United Healthcare Network
Right.
with Surest. So we do have the United Healthcare discounts. There wouldn't be any additional discounts to go UHC fully insured. Now, when we go to market next year, if you want to look at fully insured options, we certainly could do that, just to understand how they stack up. But when they see the claims, I don't think you're going to, you're never going to go back to the 2.4 that, that was on the table
Well, I'm not
2
saying
years ago.
2.4, but.
Right.
I'm just saying we've doubled in 4 years, basically.
Yeah.
But the data is the data is the data.
Right.
So whether you go self-insured or fully insured,
Yep.
you might get a a discount the first year for somebody to write the business.
Absolutely. They're always going to try to buy that
You know,
business.
the next year, you got a 40% increase because
Right.
they're trying to recruit.
And then you're back in the cycle of not being able to control anything.
Same thing's been happening to auto rates. You know, they were
Right.
underfunded for
A lot of
for
this-
such a long time.
A lot of this too is concerning to me. I had a procedure done where they just basically injected my spine. I was there literally 12 minutes.
Yeah.
They billed our insurance $18,000. That was just for the hospital part.
Yeah.
Now, come to find out, I could have went to his office and had the procedure done and not done it in the hospital. It would have been $850. That wasn't told to me. I just went on the Surest app, found the doctor, they did it. Hey, it was great for me.
Right.
Now, granted, they only paid $3,800 when it was said and done. That's another thing I don't understand. How do you build $18,000 and only
Yeah.
get paid $3,800? It's the stupidest thing I've ever
Yes.
seen.
Correct.
But this is the kind of stuff I'm wondering why we're having 480,000 on one person. I know that's a specific and it's
Sure.
a cancer, whatever. But how much of that could have been saved by not going to this doctor, not doing that procedure? And I'm just wondering if we're not scrutinizing it enough for us as a fully insured company saying, no, we're not paying for that. You can have that done in the office over here. Whereas we're way too loose and fancy, you know what I'm saying, and just letting the money flow. I don't know.
Do we need to make an adjustment on the copay?
I don't know. I'm not sure the copay's the problem. I think the selection process is the problem. Like I said, with
Well, I would-
mine,
I would put
they should have offered me the office visit
Yeah.
for 12 minutes.
But
18, I didn't need a recovery.
Which a
room.
lot of that is provider,
I'm sure.
provider and care navigation. I mean, if your doctor says go here, you're probably just going to do that rather than,
Right. Had I known though that I could have went into
Exactly.
the office and not have to
Right.
go into a hospital,
yeah.
I mean, they still give you the Versed, they still give you the drugs I just don't need that hospital. I'm thinking we're screwing ourselves at times. Maybe we need to turn the screws down on is there some analysis that can be done? Hey, does this person really need to go into ambulatory surgery for a 12-minute injection? I'm not a doctor, but I could have done, well, anyway, here nor there. That's just from what I'm noticing, maybe where there's some waste coming is just it's too easy to get stuff done,
Too
in my
easy.
opinion.
Yeah.
Well, and if we're looking to, we were kind of going into the wellness, how do we take care of our employees? Look, when we made all these choices, I mean, if we're looking at cost management as our top priority, those wouldn't have been the recommendations. You know what I mean? We would have looked at narrow networks. We would have looked at carving out pharmacy or bringing a narrow pharmacy network into play. If we're looking at cost management as our top priority, that's a whole different marketing effort. So if we are going into this year saying we absolutely can't, take another renewal like this, then we need to be pivoting and looking at different options. Absolutely.
I think we gotta look at a different option other than 4.6 million. I know that's worst case, but also 2.5 was worst case, and now it's 3.7.
Right, absolutely.
So we
Yeah.
said worst case is 2.5.
We know
Worst
our
case-
we know our fixed costs every year. When we go in every year, we're going to know our fixed costs. What we don't know
I'm just saying
are
that's
the
a
claims.
bad, not blaming you, I'm just saying that was a
Oh,
horrible
yeah,
estimate,
absolutely.
though, to say, hey,
Yeah.
2.5 is worst case. I'm sorry, it was 3.7. Now, you granted, we're gonna get some back.
Yeah.
But, okay, we're gonna get it back, but the person that pays us is gonna say, okay, now we're gonna jack your premium 30% to get our money back.
The great news on that is that some of these claims did come in after we secured our renewal. So I think that we had a pretty decent renewal, all things considered. Not that that's ideal, but, a few more months of data, and we would have been looking at an even, more desperate situation as far as renewals
That
go.
scares me a little bit,
Yeah.
because that just,
Fair.
it's a pay me now or pay me later.
Right.
We're gonna pay later, and I see this number being 5 million very shortly.
The,
at
with
this
the,
rate.
with the no new laser and the 50% rate cap in place, however, the worst that our renewal can be with UHC, if we renew with them,
See.
is the 50% to the premium, the specific premium. So looking at, our sold paperwork from this year, and we look at the spec for the upcoming year, the 561,000, they can only increase, not only, it's a lot of money, but they can only bring us up 50% of that number. They can't laser someone for $500,000. They can't laser someone for $2 million, which is, worth that couple percentage points of fixed cost to have that protection in place. should something come in. I mean, we don't know what this most recent one is, but if it's going to be ongoing, we could be very glad that we have it.
Anything else?
I know that we wanted to kind of discuss budgeting, and are there any questions on how to move forward this year? Or just wanted to kind of do the rundown of why the costs are increasing the way that they are?
Exactly what I expected to hear.
Okay. I just want to make sure I wasn't leaving anything out or not taking away anything you would like to see.
I don't know that they actually wanted to talk about
Okay.
budgeting. We were discussing the budget numbers when additional questions came up.
Perfect, and why it's trending and all that. Okay, got it.
As council's aware, we've made a council aware of this, and
Right.
they didn't seem too concerned. I think I'm more concerned than they are at this. I'm not saying they're not concerned, but I mean, they
Well-
seem to
They're
expect this.
They're concerned from the standpoint of making sure that we don't get upside down like we were 10 years ago.
Right.
So from that standpoint, I think they're willing to work with us to make sure, because this is part and parcel of the benefit package anyway, of the salary thing,
Yeah.
which is really more in their lane anyhow. So I think they're motivated, shall we say, to work with us on making this work the way it
And when they
needs
were
to.
looking at the ARPA plan suggestions with their,
Yeah.
which they wanted some time to look at it before they approve it. When they were looking at that, they did ask if, at that time, we had like 1.4 million that would go back to county general for the self-insurance. They did ask if you guys would be putting any of that that's coming back into county general, if you would be putting any of that into our self-insurance fund so that we don't go negative, like,
Well, I think we.
Well, that was the idea, I
Yeah.
thought,
So-
of designating it the way we did.
Yeah, anything comes back, like pharmacy rebates or any aggregate funding, those protections were in place to keep us from going negative, so we should be putting those back into the health insurance fund, absolutely.
We have to remember, ARPA's done too. I mean, we
Yeah.
have our money now, but we can't count on that for 26, 27, 28. So there's no way we can take a 30 to 40% increase a year going forward. So
Well, again, I know I keep repeating myself, but wellness, 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 and if we can't move that needle, we're never going to gain anything. We've got to keep stressing, keep putting programs in for wellness for the team members,
Yeah,
because this is all tied up in the claims.
I'd like to see how much of it is wellness-based versus, like, our top claimant is $500,000.
Yeah.
Cancer doesn't choose,
right.
I've seen perfectly healthy people get it, and I've seen people that shouldn't live tomorrow and they don't get anything, but.
Well, with the biometric screenings being required for the upcoming plan year, even something as simple as that, catching something in the early stages rather than waiting until it's, in the emergency room.
Oh, I agree.
Critically. Yes, you could in the beginning see an uptick because you're uncovering things with these wellness initiatives, but it is a long-term play, absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt there, yeah.
Yeah.
Preventive maintenance is always your
100
cheapest maintenance.
Absolutely. And all the ACA preventive items that are free, in any communications that we can send out to employees about that, the $0, just pushing for preventive exams.
And we have to remember, this is not a sprint. This is a marathon.
Yes.
So it takes a while to get everything in place, and we're little pieces, parts and pieces at a time. We couldn't do everything all at once, so we have to take what we can and keep growing this program.
I would say, early in this coming year, kind of going when we have our recap and our strategy meetings, is really trying to understand what our goals are for the next plan year. Is it wellness? Is it cost containment? Do we want to see 2 paths and make our decision based on, what numbers come back? So that will
I
be.
think that we got to push the wellness thing more. There's no doubt about it. I still say it's not sustainable, and I know, and maybe this will plateau out here, but we can't go from 2.5 to 4.5 to 6.5. I mean, it's just, there's got to be an end to this.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, I'm just wondering if some of the waste is in just how easy it is to get something done, and you just hit the button and boom, I was in, you know? That's wonderful,
Yeah,
if money isn't an issue. Unfortunately,
maybe we
Yes.
need more education on seeking out the better option as far as cost.
but let's face it, the average person, they just want fixed. And if it says, hey, I can be fixed in 2 weeks by hitting this button, you know what I'm saying? Where's
Well,
the,
that's why I think adjustment in the copay could have an effect on that. When it starts to hit them in the pocketbook, they'll start looking for
look
the
for
better,
another option.
the better option.
Yeah, that's true. There's got to be some way to stop the bleeding, or we're all going to die is the problem.
Well, and I think it's reasonable to look at more of a cost management pathway and maybe end up somewhere in the middle between that,
Absolutely.
taking care of the team members and containing the cost too. So,
Yeah,
you know, I don't know that either extreme is really in our best interest.
combination of
Yeah,
some
yeah.
board, but there's got to be something done because it's not sustainable. We're talking this being 5 to 10% of our total budget for the county, you know?
If it's going to be that way anyway. But
Yeah.
there again, though, we're shouldering all the liability.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's worth something to get that off our back if it comes to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got to stick it out to see what happens. Like you said, we've done the
Yeah.
seasoning per se. Now we know, but if it gets to the point where we get renewals of 5 million next year, I think we need to say, wait a minute, let's quote a fully insured plan and see what happens.
Well, yeah, it doesn't hurt to quote and compare
Yeah.
and see where you're at.
Because it just,
Okay.
yeah.
Anything else? Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, appreciate the info.
Absolutely.
Have a little better understanding now than we
Yeah,
did
and
have.
I will send the financial
mud.
report with the clinical piece once I have that, but
Yeah,
didn't want to get into PHI.
thank you.
Yes.
Okay, James Raymond, Development in the County. You are up. Yes, sir.
Have a good day. Is that blue light on that thing there, on your microphone? Okay, touch the button and it'll, there you are. That way we know who you are and all that.
I'm a lifelong resident of DeKalb County. I took a short vacation in Vietnam and another short vacation to go to college, but other than that, I spent my entire life in Vietnam. Okay.
Seemed like it, didn't it?
Yeah. By accident, or by design, no, it was by accident. A month ago, I found myself in Boston in a room with 7 of the brightest individuals you could hope to meet. The reason I was there, my son was graduating from MIT. This was a graduation party that was being held afterwards. Not being able to hold my own with people that have an MIT degree, I went out to the lobby to sit down and got into discussion with a gentleman. I think his family owned India, but anyway, very prominent individual. And he brought in a couple other individuals, and they got to talking about climate change, population shifts, which got me a little bit alarmed when they started talking about what was going on in the world and what was coming up. And DeKalb County will play a central part in this. Believe me, you're going to play a very central part in this. One of the things that I learned that I did not know, that there are 2 places on this planet that will see the least effect of global warming. It will eventually catch up with everybody, but these 2 areas, one is the Ukraine, which is unfortunately mired in. The other is right here, Northeast Indiana or Indiana Corn Belt. The reason for that is Ukraine has the Black Sea and the Capricorn Sea. huge bodies of natural water. We have the Great Lake. Huge bodies of water. Anyway, what it does is, you may not know it, it happens on a molecular structure or something. I said, these kids are bright. Anyhow, what happens is that these bodies of water absorb heat in the summer, and they leave it off during the winter, which neutralizes the atmosphere up a couple of layers. And so we're going to see the least effect. But what this is going to mean, and this is where I got involved in the discussion, well, what does that mean? And essentially the Corn Belt, what they're talking about. And he said, these people say you're going to see a huge influx of industry and people moving into these areas over the next 10 years or so. And he said, be very mindful that this is going to be catastrophic because this area is not used to having huge. We got Chicago, Indianapolis, a few of those cities, but I wish I could be more demonstrative about this, but essentially that's what it is. DeKalb County is sitting right in the middle of the most perfect spot on this entire planet to avoid global warming problems. And their advice to me, and I said, what is the advice that you would have to us? And he said, first of all, and I had mentioned it, we're an agricultural community, and he said, remain an agricultural community. Fight off the influx of industry wanting to come in. He said, industry comes and goes, but people have to eat each day. I remember that line. That's what he told me. So agriculture is tops. That's what you want to maintain first and foremost. Secondly, he advised, he said, you don't want to bring in, essentially what he was talking about is low-income businesses, much like the ones up around Ashley. You want to go for high-tech, high-dollar industries. And this was by another individual. He's talking about the economy. He said, businesses like high-tech bring in high-paying individuals. High-paying individuals buy high-paying houses, high-paying cars, and spend money more freely. All of this is taxable at some level down to. So you want to go after high-tech industries. He said those two things are key to what, to minimize what you're going to see. He asked me some questions about Indianapolis, or about Auburn in particular, because that's where I'm at. And we got to talk about the cruise thing, and he said, wait a minute, you got a facility that has a clear shot at an international airport, and you have a huge medical complex. He said you should be inundated by industry wanting to come in here. He said, maybe they just don't know about you. Maybe you should get the word out that maybe you're interested in these high-tech jobs. And I said, I would convey that to you, and that's what I'm doing. Like I said, these gentlemen, I could drop a couple names, but I'm not going to do that. That's not why I'm here. But they are considered some of the best minds in the world. And I'll qualify that for people who don't understand. MIT and Caltech are considered the two leading schools for business in this country, hands down. There's no comparison. To get into MIT, you have to be exceptional. And I said, the only reason I'm there is because my son went to DeKalb, got a degree, went to Purdue, got a degree, went out and got a job with Chrome Civic, who was one of the startup industries, behind-the-scene industries, ended up vice president of Nike, and finally retired. Then, after reaching that level, he realized if he wanted to be president, but if you had a list, if you looked at the people on that list of CEOs and ECOs and that, you're going to find out they either had a degree from MIT or Caltech. So you're talking about really some of the best minds in this country. And like I said, it was his graduation party. I couldn't carry on a conversation in there. That's why I went out and sat in the lobby, and these gentlemen came out, and we got into this discussion. But I said I'd take this information back to you and let you know it's going to happen. And they're saying probably the big shift, California's burning, and when it's not burning, it's shaking. They're talking about the third hurricane to hit the southern states. And usually the third hurricane doesn't hit the southern states till late in September, and they're talking about the third one coming ashore. The East Coast is a complete mess because it's just building on top of building. There's nowhere for the water to go, so they're in trouble. So they said, industry is looking, and they're looking across the entire Corn Belt, for communities that will welcome them in. So that's why I'm here, to let you know that it's out there. There are organizations that I understand that could connect you, if you go looking for them, kind of like real estate agents on the high level, that, contact them and they can bring in these companies. But that's really all I have to say, gentlemen, ladies.
Appreciate you coming in. It's very interesting.
It was a very interesting conversation. Too bad I didn't understand what they were saying.
I've heard read a little bit about some of this myself, actually. I'm no expert by any means, but there seems to be some validity to that concept.
There is.
But, be careful what you welcome in.
We have Google come into Fort Wayne, for Lord's sakes. And I have my son, when he was in Oregon, saw the Google complex, and that is massive, and it is beautiful. And they're abandoning that to come into Fort Wayne and put in a 700-acre complex.
Mm-hmm.
And I do know there's 2 subsidy companies that are already coming in that are going to be working with him.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any questions? Just out of curiosity. Nope. Thank you.
Brian, you are up. What you got today? What's going on at this gate?
As everyone knows, this...
A continuing saga.
Yes. I have exhausted every means possible. Our phone provider can no longer help us. Our radio vendor doesn't really have anything in it. The current security system that the county uses, the S2 system, it's a finger pointing game. Our stuff's working. It'll work for a day, then it quits. I've even had all the wiring replaced. And this is the end-all, beat-all, Hail Mary. We replace the card swipe, the camera, and the intercom system with a standalone system for $6,959 that I don't have. So I was hoping you guys would take pity on me and maybe have some money somewhere to be able to forge ahead with this process and finally put it to bed. The system worked great for the first couple of years. When Paul Brewer was the director, it started having problems when Bill Hunter was here, and it's just continued to go downhill.
Has it already been repaired?
It's been repaired so many times, sir.
No. I mean, what you want to do now, the $6,900 quote, has that work already been affected?
No,
okay.
because I can't afford it.
Okay, all right.
So
all right.
I was hoping that you guys would have some rainy day funds or something that could finance this project so we could get it finished.
So basically what we're talking about is the electronics and all that. We got a new gate, right?
Yeah, the gates themselves are great. The operators are great. It's just the access control system. They just wired it into too many things when the building was built. The radio, the phone, the security system, the camera system, and everybody wants to point fingers that their stuff is working fine.
Yeah.
And I can't do it anymore.
We had some surplus in that ARPA distribution, didn't we? Left over. More than enough to do.
Is the
this.
card, or is the pad not working, the keypad? Is that the problem, or?
Everybody says it works. The card swipe will read the card, but it won't trip the mechanism inside.
Okay.
The camera works, but the intercom doesn't work, so we have a little sign that says, "Buttons broke, please call," and then we can look at the camera and see who's coming, and everything like that.
Okay, so it's just a Mickey Mouse failure of everything.
Yes, somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
Goofy has been involved with Mickey.
Yeah. Sounds like it needs repaired to me.
Yeah, security's not great with the gate open all the time.
No, and
Security's not great with the gate open all the time.
Yeah.
we are a potential target if somebody wanted to take out communication, so we do need to be able to have every option available to keep people out.
Cheaper than buying a big dog.
I'm all for it. I don't think Susan's gonna let me buy dog food.
As long as you don't pay tax on it, you can.
Will they give any kind of a statement that they believe this would fix the problems, or a guarantee, or something?
This is a
like that?
completely new,
Totally new system?
yes,
Okay.
from Lakeland Electronics. Jack Smith recommended them. I reached out to another vendor that the county uses. Yep, we'll have something for you, and that was 2 months ago. Lakeland was right back with us within about 2 weeks, and this is a standalone system. It's not going to be integrated with all the other stuff. Our swipe cards will work, so the dispatchers can just swipe their card, or say, Todd, you don't have your card, you'll have an individual PIN code that you'll be able to type in there, and you'll be able to come in, or Susan, or any of the other important staff that we have.
What do you think, gentlemen? With our ARPA funds?
So,
Yeah, I think so.
might as well. It's a need. And make a motion to engage Lakeland on their quote of 69.
69, 59, 24.
959.24.
I would second that. Maybe pay it out of 62 and put the ARPA money back in there.
Transfer.
Shuffle. Okay.
Well, I mean, I need to throw this into the approval by the council, so we'll have to fund it and, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. There you go, Brian.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Ma'am, have a
And,
wonderful day, folks.
We hope that's the end of it for at least a while. We're going to keep the door locked.
Please send instructions for how to get in once we get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you now.
Thanks, Brian.
Brian, I'll send you this signed one in a little bit.
Okay. We have a couple miscellaneous, the health department vehicles.
Okay, so I kind of typed up what was all happening. So Cheryl is wanting to get rid of her health department truck. She happened to be talking about it when Larry was over there and was wondering if you guys would be interested in having the truck for the maintenance department instead of buying a new one. And then she's getting a 24 Jeep Wrangler, and then they're gonna keep the Tahoe. So I guess the question is, are you okay with the health truck becoming the maintenance truck? If yes, then
We have,
to determine the
We
price.
have a maintenance.
we have a maintenance truck.
Larry's maintenance truck.
He did ask for a maintenance truck, didn't he?
Yeah,
In addition to the one that
Yeah.
Chris has.
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
It's a 1500 Ram. It's a 16, so it's probably got low miles still.
It's got 43
Yeah.
or right under
that's
43.
nothing. My only concern with this whole thing is why a $50,000 Grand or a Wrangler Sport? A Wrangler is a fun vehicle to drive on the weekends, but it's a horrible primary vehicle. They ride horrible. They're bad on fuel. Maintenance wise, they're not very good. I would not suggest for that department, that vehicle. I would suggest like an Equinox that gets 25, 30 mile per gallon, that has more room in the back to put stuff. Those Wranglers are horrible on space, and like I said, fun vehicle. Well, you have one. It's a great fun vehicle, right? But you wouldn't want it as your primary or your
Nope.
work vehicle, so I don't understand why you would choose that one.
Yeah.
That's my concern. And you can buy an Equinox 10 grand cheaper too, and it'll do more than that Wrangler will. So that'd be,
No need to go off-roady for it.
no, and then you can get an all-wheel drive Equinox in the 30 grand range, brand new, instead of 47,000. I just thought that was over the top for that type of vehicle, or for that apartment.
Yeah, I don't know.
That'd be
What
the-
was the other vehicle, the one for maintenance? What was that, a Tahoe?
They're keeping the Tahoe.
They have a Tahoe.
They have a Tahoe. They're
Okay.
keeping it for, I think, Bernie.
Yeah.
Then they were gonna get rid of the truck
The
for
truck.
whatever they're getting Kathy, this Jeep supposedly. And then later, they're going to purchase us a small car for Veronica.
Oh, the Jeep is for Kathy Manuel, so she's doing all the soil tests and septic stuff.
Yeah, well
I-
then,
yeah, I-
again, I would go with like a Cherokee instead or something,
Yeah,
just
something better.
better on fuel, rides better, you know, because you're not going out if you're going into a field that's that bad that you need a real, true all-terrain vehicle, they're not doing that, so, that's just my opinion. And the Wranglers just aren't a very good maintenance vehicle. That's probably our number one vehicle we work on is a Wrangler. I just think it's a poor choice
What's
for that.
resale on?
Resale's good on it, yeah, too good, and unfortunately, I mean, I just think something like an Equinox or something like that would be a far better vehicle for that.
Choice. Well, you want to require that she gets another quote on a different vehicle?
I think it would be better serving the taxpayers' money to find a vehicle that fits the need and does a little better on fuel than a Wrangler, and especially if they're driving a lot of sites.
Yeah.
But I have no problem with the truck becoming, that's a great vehicle, a 16 with 40, that vehicle will run another 10 years, no problem if it's maintained, so
Yeah.
I have
guess
no,
that-
appreciate them thinking about that. I would just like to see the vehicle changed possibly that they're wanting
Like I
to
said,
acquire.
I'd at least like to maybe hear about how they arrived at that particular vehicle. Maybe there's some
Right.
need that we're not anticipating or so forth.
Yeah.
You know, so
I wondered the same thing.
Plus, it's specially equipped for field work. Maybe they got a Wrangler package that they need for field work. I don't know, but,
I'm not a big Jeep fan anyway, so.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll get a bunch of ducks on the dash and it just won't be good, you know?
We will not.
Yeah, we'll take the truck.
Okay,
We'll
so,
take the truck, but they can't have a new vehicle.
okay,
Can't
so
have the Jeep.
for her planning as going forward, so I had provided you the original purchase of that Ram, and then I did some KBB pricing. It's the only thing I know to do pricing with. Do you have an amount that you're willing to pay per se? The only reason why we need an amount is because it would have been purchased from her health funds.
Right.
I mean, so we just have to kind of make that
I need to
right,
see
but-
exactly, she provided a KBB, but I don't know if it's a 5.7 Hemi, I don't know if it's a crew cab, I don't know if it's a Laramie, you know what I'm saying? If I knew,
It's not the Laramie.
if I knew what it was for sure, I could tell you exactly what it's worth, but it's probably worth 23 to 24 grand is my guess, if it's a 5.7 Hemi.
It is a
SLT.
Hemi. Yeah, it is a 5.7 Hemi.
Yeah. In a crew cab, right?
I brought it up with the VIN, not just putting in the options.
Oh, you did?
I put the
Okay.
VIN number in.
Maybe I can look that up after
Okay,
and
yeah, we can
just,
do
I
that.
can do that during lunch, look it up, but,
Yeah.
like I said, I have no problem with them getting a new vehicle, I just want to make sure we're getting the right one for that.
Okay,
Okay, so do you want to do a motion that you're in agreement to have the truck be the maintenance vehicle with a to-be-determined price?
Yeah, I'd make that motion.
a motion and second on the floor. Are there any additional comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same. Motion is approved. Okay, moving on. Ordinance 2024-0-5, TNR ordinance. That's the, for the cats. Trap, neuter, and return.
Not the GNR ordinance, the Guns N' Roses?
No, Todd, it's not.
All right. I saw that in your meeting materials.
Definitions, a lot of definitions.
A lot of words,
Yeah.
that were pay by the word
The
attorney
def-
drafts.
The definitions in proposed new letter Z, I think, should be discussed about the barking issues. I mean, this is an ordinance that needs to be discussed and reviewed and maybe discussed with the Humane Shelter and with the group that proposed it. And we took the ordinance that we had, kind of combined in some of the things with the new, and I looked at it and tried to, and I think it makes some sense, but I think you should think about what do you do with cats that are taken off the streets, and there's language about disposing of the cats. I think you've got to decide, do you want them euthanized or all of them put back on this, back out into the county where they were picked up from, or do they get returned to what's called a managed cat community? I mean, all that stuff needs to be looked at carefully. This is just a proposal. I'm not saying this is the be-all and end-all, has to be this way. It's just something for you guys to discuss.
This came from an existing ordinance, or this tracks Auburn's ordinance?
This tracks with the existing ordinance with additions as proposed by the group that was wanting the trap neuter release.
Okay.
So if you don't want trap neuter release, then, you don't want this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So,
I think the consensus was that we
Yeah.
thought that was a good idea.
so that's why I propose, that's why we drafted it this way, but it's definitely something you should review and look
Yes.
at, and you could change, and it's not set in stone. But it gives you an option if you want to do the trap neuter release. I think that seems like the proposed language and how we put it in there would be a good way to go if you're interested in going in that way. It seemed like a solid ordinance language that was proposed.
I think it's a good idea to get Dave Roadcap or Rick Short or somebody's take on it from the Humane Shelter standpoint, for sure.
And whoever's going to be enforcing the barking
Well, yeah,
issues,
that's-
you should
yeah.
figure that out too.
Yeah.
Is that something that's enforceable, or we could take it out or tweak the language to
Well, there
take the
again,
barking reference out?
There again, that whole enforcement thing, I don't want it in an ordinance if we don't have a mechanism to enforce it.
There's already some language about barking that was in the ordinance, but the proposed language from the TNR had some slight difference to it. That's why I'm bringing it up. Just to see, is this opening a can of worms, or is this something we do want to enforce?
As long as we do not have an animal control officer, enforcement is an issue.
Right. Okay.
And do we have in here anywhere about the $2,000 that the TNR program had discussed?
Remember that. Yeah.
I'll make sure.
You mean as far as the county paying per? No, I don't think there's any money in there about that. This is just authorizing the process. I think that's a budgeting issue and as far as how much the county is willing to invest in that or pay in that.
That was to buy traps.
I don't,
Right.
yeah, I don't think we want to put seed money in this, but it should be discussed along with it, because if you have trap, neuter, release and you're not willing to pay for it, I don't know where they're going to get the money to do it.
Yeah. Right offhand, I can't see us doing anything but trap, neuter, and release.
Right.
And eventually that will decrease the population.
Yeah.
And that gets us to where we want to be without maybe getting involved
Yeah.
in all this other.
I like the idea. I mean, they can't procreate. The problem eventually
Yeah,
dwindles.
I think Auburn has some hard data on the success.
So,
We had somebody contact, everybody calls us, and they don't know who to call. So we had somebody contact us just last week about a cat explosion. And so I got a hold of Courtney, and she went ahead and moved forward and is taking care of the situation. But she's kind of at a standstill, you know.
With this.
Yeah.
Well, I think I don't know how long you want to take for us to kind of go over it or discuss it or whatever, but I think we should have Courtney come in and kind of get things finalized and go ahead and move
Probably so.
move forward on it.
Have her in 2 weeks, and
I think so, that'd be
think that's
good.
fine.
and then give another 2
Finalize
weeks
it.
maybe to,
Yeah, there's plenty of time for us to study it.
yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. Okay,
We're anxious to get started.
anything else?
Good.
Todd, anything? Mike?
No, sir.
Andrew?
Don't think so at this point.
Nothing else? Susan?
Nope, I'm good.
I got one thing.
Okay.
I got a meeting with Tony Frost tomorrow night on that Holiday Lakes property.
Oh, okay, the gentleman that owns the lot there?
Yes. Meet with him, try to figure out what he wants for it approximately. We had to get a
to be
appraisal done on
Two
that.
appraisals, I think,
appraisals.
to do that purchase.
I think it's 2 appraisals or a poker game. I think you can have
Is
a
that
poker game.
Okay. Be cheaper.
I was unaware of that subsection of the statute, Todd.
Todd.
Hopefully appraisals on one lot won't be too expensive. Might be worth, appraisals might cost more than a lot, I don't know.
Yeah.
He claims he's got another party interested. I don't know if that's a lever or just
Sure.
what that's about, but anyway, got a meeting with him tomorrow and we'll find out.
And the way I understand it, that property is in a designated floodplain at this point, so
Really nothing they can do.
if you're gonna build, you can build on it, the problem is you're gonna build a stilt home,
Yeah,
big money, it's gonna look goofy. It's just not, no one's gonna spend that kind of money to build a home there.
I wouldn't think so. If it had a golf coast, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
You
what I'm
got
saying.
like a ton of hoops with FEMA and
Yeah.
everything to go through before you can even
Yeah.
build on it.
And
So
even then,
It's not worth the
even then, it's
hassle.
hard to insure, even if you stilled it up and get the first floor elevation above median flood or whatever they call that. I forget the term, but
Okay.
base
Well,
flood, yeah, there you are. So
I'll get back to you on that and,
Yeah. hopefully he's reasonable. If he is, I think we should pursue it. If not, we'll just have to say sorry. Good
yeah,
luck
there
building there,
again, we
you know.
gotta have the 2 appraisals and,
Yeah.
you know, maybe if we get one, we find out we're just out of the ballpark.
Yeah, I'd say get one, and if it's
What
just
he
stupid,
wants.
just say, yeah, well.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that MRBC's got some funding left over,
Yeah, that's what he said.
so, I mean, we should be.
They
able
said
to-
they'd help out
Yeah.
sharing the cost, and I'd like to help them if we can, because it
Yeah.
would make sense to secure that whole thing and just eliminate future problems.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, last call. Anybody?
3 AM already?
And we will stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to the public for